Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, episode 193. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Matt.
Hey, what's up?
And Connor's here too.
Yes, I am.
This is a DC Comics podcast. Every week we get together, we talk about new DC comic books that have been released. Coming up on this week's show, we have Batman issue 88, we have Justice League issue 40, which is the start of a new run. Oh, we've got thoughts on that. Young Justice 13 is what I was trying to say. Lois Lane issue 8. Joker Harley Criminal Sanity number 3 and Daphne Byrne issue 2, making for a later week in the books. Only 6 there, I think. Yeah, 6. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We do have some questions as well from the audience, much like we did last week, since it's a later week again. Probably the last time this month, I suspect. I'm assuming the rest of the weeks are all a bit more healthy. We have a little bit of news as well, so that is what's coming up. And presumably at some point during today's recording, me and Matt will talk about wrestling for half an hour and bore Connor to tears.
So I'll piss off and do something else for half an hour.
I won't be that long because there was no Rumble to get caught up on. I'm still behind on NXT. It's basically just AEW, and I have thoughts.
Yes.
But I don't think it'll be quite a half hour. But so Connor, yeah, if you want to run to the store real quick, you're free to go.
The sad part is I could actually get to the shop and back in that time.
Probably.
Hey,
I could.
I've went and got donuts before, mid-recording, when you two were talking about some comic book.
Yeah, at least we were actually, doing a book.
Hey, the patrons wasn't wrestling talk.
Here's the thing, though. Me and Connor sped through it, so we'd be sitting here waiting for you to come back.
Yeah.
Get just us.
Yeah, wow.
We're like the in Gremlins, the Mogwais that are trying to turn into Gremlins. That's like me and Connor. We're just looking for trouble.
Pretty much.
But you never quite become the Gremlins. I don't know what that says about you.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Gremlins are gross. Mogwais are adorable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Long before Baby Yoda tried to come and steal some of this thunder, the Mogwai was the original classic.
I do feel like without Gizmo, we can't have Baby Yoda.
Yep.
So,
but you can always improve upon things.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly. That's why Firefly exists.
And then that's why Star Wars Rebels exists.
Don't bring up your silly kids cartoon show
kids, that show's dark as hell, Pete.
Not dark enough. And
it goes to some philosophical places, not usually not reserved for
I like Firefly
TV.
A lot. Rebels has deeper stuff going on than Firefly does. And that's just a fact.
It's because there's more than 13 episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's blasphemy. I can't.
Hey, I like Firefly as well. It's but Rebels, come on, man. Flipping Callus and what was Ahsoka's code name?
Fulcrum.
Fulcrum. There we go. I was this close to making a very bad financial decision, buying her lightsabers, Connor, at Galaxy's Edge.
The white ones.
They come as a set, so it's the only way to get them.
Sounds so nice.
And I looked at my wife. She goes, "Don't even go over there."
That's what we've had a lot of positive feedback about sales figure talk on this show. About
don't let me whip out the memes. I will do it.
Yeah. He'll do it. He's crazy.
What we've not had is a lot of positive feedback on Star Wars talk.
Yeah, that's because they're all waiting for us to talk about Clone Wars, the final season, in about 2 weeks' time.
Yeah,
so
buddy.
we're gonna cut this talk right here.
I'm just gonna say real quick, if you can get to a Disney park that has Rise of the Resistance, stay spoiler free. It's better not to know what's going on, and I'm 100% that I went to space. That's how great it is. It's insane. Do it.
You paid Disney shill.
And please, Disney, write me my check. I will shill forever how much you want. Please. Annual passes, that's all it will take.
Let's be honest. If they paid him, Pete would chill for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're getting an ironic, love-hate endorsement. They're not getting a completely genuine one.
They would if they paid you.
Okay, what would that sound like? Yes, the new season of Star Wars Rebels is out this week. Make sure you check it out on Disney+.
That's how we know Pete's not a show, because he knows Rebels. He doesn't know Rebels is over and Clone Wars is coming back.
I took a gamble.
Yeah, and you lost.
It was low stakes though. I'm not really fussed about it.
You know, my favorite meme that's come out of movies this year is that Adam Sandler from Uncut Gems. This is how I win, because if you know the context of that, that's not how you use this.
I'm watching it soon, so I'll find out. I'll find out.
I'll just say people are mostly using it wrong. So
I mean, it's the internet, and more specifically, it's Twitter. What do you expect?
Yeah, that's true.
But I
mean,
a
more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
So we'll dive into comic book news, shall we? Just kick things off before we get to the audience questions, which is the opposite of last week. But I feel like shaking things up because I'm a wild card.
Wild card.
Yes. Charlie Day. Yes.
Charlie Day.
And plus, we're starting off with a hot topic here. Anyway, we're starting off with something juicy.
I used to buy stuff at that store.
DC have revealed plans for the Free Comic Book Day issue. They always bring something out that's teasing the events to come for the summer. Although the last 2 years it's been like a 25-cent issue that's been out like right before it rather than on the day itself. But neither here nor there. Either way, we'll talk about it that week on the show. So they've announced Free Comic Book Day 2020 offerings, leading with Generation Zero, a one-shot, which ties into the newly revised DC timeline that became canon with Wonder Woman 750, which obviously was the Scott Snyder story with the president stuff and Wonder Woman showing up. So
it's art, right?
Yes. The lead story in this will be an epilogue to the current Flash Forward limited series, which will... Spoilers... apparently, Wally West will be taking on the powers of Watchmen's Dr. Manhattan. There's a Francis Manapul cover showing what he looks like after he does this.
Just on a side bit to this, there is a rumor that so we spoke about the actual leaked details of Flash Forward last week.
Yes.
And that was to do with the chair.
Mobius chair.
Apparently the Manhattan side of things will actually be showing up in Justice League 40. 41.
41, yeah, we only had 40 this week. So.
Yeah, I meant 41.
So here's the thing. Obviously, none of us have read Flash Forward because we hate Scott Lobdell and Brett Booth and didn't want any part of it. Now,
I don't hate Brett Booth. His art's just not to my liking.
Okay. We're all
no axe to grind.
We're all middling on Brett Booth, but we all hate Scott Lobdell, right?
Yes.
Now, I think naturally, this being like a one-shot with several things in it, like, we're probably going to read this thing, right? Just to see what's going on. Because it'll make for good conversation, if nothing. And it won't be, it's going to be, 10 pages, maybe?
I think there's two main parts for this book, right?
Oh, yeah, I'll get to the rest of this, but... It's
really sad that, these Free Comic Book Day issues are like, okay, this dictates the future of the next year or so. Last year, it was, the year of the villain stuff. And while that didn't go so well in the end, it wasn't the worst start. It wasn't the worst idea. When you're telling me, okay, we're kicking off okay, here's the year statement, and half of it is being led by Lobdell, I'm not looking forward to the rest of 2020. Let me tell you.
So you said what to look forward to during the year. Now I've been conditioned to how will it annoy me during the year because you're the villain. Very annoying.
Yeah. What was it the year before that?
I don't remember.
I was No Justice and all that and all that stuff.
Was fine. Yeah,
that was fine.
It's okay.
I don't know. 2020 is an upswing, Matt. Yuka Sakazaki was back on AEW, so it's fine. Things were back.
I'm perfectly fine with what happened to her.
Oh, that's a harsh take. More than that in the Wrestling Talk on Patreon, guys. So the yet unreleased issue 6, this is from Newsarama, which is due out on February 16th, Wally will apparently become the new steward of the Mobius chair, which itself will be imbued with the infinite power of Dr. Manhattan. They've solicited the issue would have a surprise ending, but it seems that they have spoiled part of that themselves with revealing this, one-shot issue.
Yeah,
they
Johnny stormed it.
The official description from DC: Generation Zero implies that it could ripple out in major continuity ways, saying Wally West can see the past, present, and future of the DC universe all at once, including what needs to be changed. See, if you went back to the start of Rebirth and said that eventually, Wally's going to become a major part of a big event that's going to be happening in a couple of years' time, and it's going to be spearheaded by Scott Lobdell, just imagine the feeling. All I can think is, Wally's getting this prominent treatment right? And this year's thing, right? And all I can think is that gift from the Matrix that says, "Not like this, not like this." That's all I can think.
Just please no.
I doubt we'd be doing the show had we known that. There's a sense of dread. Doom would have won for sure.
Oh yeah, we're in now. March Wars DC's Future begins. Generation Zero. This 32-page issue features a stunning cover by Francis Manapul and features key stories involving Wally West, Wally West, the fastest man alive, and Wonder Woman, warrior princess from the island of Themyscira. Reads DC's description. New and longtime fans can't afford to miss Generation Zero. I wish I could. I wish I could. This book lays out the foundation for even more seismic level changes in the DC universe. So it starts off with the flash forward epilogue. In order to save his children and the multiverse itself, Wally West must make the ultimate sacrifice, taking his place in the Mobius chair. Unbeknownst to him, the chair is packing a little extra power, having been imbued with the godlike powers of Dr. Manhattan. So it's interesting how Doomsday Clock, even though it's kind of out of continuity, is clearly also in continuity, and that Dr. Manhattan's presence has led to this.
That's the metaverse at play, right?
Yeah. Now armed with infinite knowledge and the powers of a god, Wally West can see the past, present, and future, blah, 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 blah. So that's there. It will also include a reprint of DC time-defining story of Wonder Woman 750. So it's just a reprint of that story.
So the
That's
whole
so
thing
nice.
that we have to look forward to is the fucking Lobdell story.
You know, though,
Christ, kill me now.
I'll gladly reread that story because I really enjoyed it.
It's a reprint of the Scott Snyder story that we've already had.
Sure, I knew there was a Snyder story as the other half. I never looked into what it was. I just knew, there's a Snyder thing as the other half, and when you said Wonder Woman, I was like, okay, I thought this might be another past set thing.
Yeah,
and
continuation.
It's gonna be, teasing. Maybe he's taking over Wonder Woman. Maybe he's doing a JSA thing with Wonder Woman in the past. Things we've been speculating about. Like maybe it's leading towards that, and no, it's just a bloody reprint and leaving us with more Lobdell to suffer through.
I suspect
that. How long was that story? That was only about 8 or 10 pages.
Yeah.
And this is a 30-something page book, so we've probably got a full 20 pages of Lobdell shite.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. So what? So I think Snyder is doing a GSA book set in the past, but I think he's not doing it till Metal 2 or whatever it's called is going to be done. So I think that's not coming till end of the year. I feel like that's going to be spreading out at the end of Metal.
That's fair enough. Like, hey, get Metal done. Do that. Do your big event. Your big capper for his time at DC so far, and JSA could be something else on the side after that. I
really hope his JSA is calmer than his Justice League, because Talking Superman had a tweet this week, which I really agree with, which is that as great as DC's multiverse is, they kind of need to stop doing multiverse stories for a while because it's been too much. Yep. And I agree. I want at least 5 years with no multiverse stories. Like, I really do.
5G years?
Very good.
Yeah, I mean,
I like it in the way of Booster Gold running around, or Wally West now doing the Time Master stuff, right? Where we can pop into different ones, but I don't need them crossing over. We had into every book.
Yeah, we had.
I like what they're doing with it in Dial H for Hero.
That's what I mean, Connor.
We had Sixth Dimension and Justice League. Young Justice. They had them multiverse hopping for a little bit. I'm just kind of done with it. Like, okay, we've done enough of this recently, and I feel like Metal 2 is probably going to have some of it as well, because obviously Metal 1 did.
I see it right now from years of reading comics that I feel like John's introduced the metaverse to kill the multiverse. If that makes any sense. So going forward, we'll have one universe, but there's multiple metaverse.
Okay, I get what you're saying. So in the past, where you'd have, Earth 2 was this was your previous reboot stuff. Now that's just Earth, metaverse number, whatever.
Right. And theoretically, yes, it's the same thing theoretically, but you really can't cross the metaverses over, right? Because they all currently exist. It's almost more Morrison than Morrison, right? If you look into string theory and the different harmonies, it would be hard to cross over because you're at different vibrational frequencies and whatnot, but they all exist concurrently.
I really don't want his JSA to feel like a 40-issue event. I really don't want that.
I don't think it will, in the sense that yeah, I understand why he chose to do what he did with Justice League, right? Big bombastic. JSA by its nature is generally not
No.
that in the same
What-
way.
What I want are pulp heroes punching Nazis.
No, I mean you're right. Like I hope that's what it is. And to be fair, I did say this about that Wonder Woman story. It's the best thing I've read from Snyder in years.
Well, and that's why I love Survival of the Fittest, because you've just had Nazi vampires, but it's pulp heroes punching Nazis, and I know Snyder's capable of it. So give me what I want.
Yeah, that's an American
meme.
That's an American vampire mini for everyone who doesn't know what that was.
Sorry.
Gotta keep them included, mate. Gotta keep them.
I know.
So yes, that's what we're getting for Free Comic Book Day.
I almost hope that they don't put it up online straight, because sometimes they don't put them up straight away, and because obviously Free Comic Book Day is always the Saturday, and we record on the Saturday. I mean, if it doesn't go up online, if they don't put it on Comixology straight away, then I guess we just don't have to read it.
Or it would just be the following week.
Yeah.
Nah, we've missed the hype by then. No one cares anymore.
Oh come on! It's got big changes for the DCU. We have to read it. That's the happen.
I get yelled at because my wife calls it, stop poking at it. Where even if it's something I don't want, I keep paying attention to things, right? And she'll tell me, just stop poking at it. I'm gonna poke at this book. Like, I gotta know, and I know it's to my own detriment at most, but at the same time, it's Wally West, and yeah, and it's free. Like, come on.
Yeah. Which by the way, I saw some nice art today from Flash 750. They're doing, there's going to be a Jay Garrick story in there, so
who's doing the art?
I've forgotten now.
Damn it.
It looked nice. It was an artist you like. I'm sure it's an artist you like from what I saw.
Let's look this up.
I'm going to try to find it now. But, okay.
Yes, I'm sure it was.
I'm down for a J story.
Gosh, yeah, who's not down for a J story? So yes, Generation Zero is the Free Comic Book Day tease issue. Different from the past 2 years in that it's only the one story, really, apart barring the reprint. Because the last 2 years had like 3 different stories in each book, teasing different big things that were coming. This is not doing that, so we'll see what they're doing. I think this will be tying into metal. As far as things like not being used for a while, Batman Who Laughs. If we can get rid of him for a decade, that'd be nice.
Hell Arisen. And this looks like a Jan and art for Jay Garrick, but I'm not certain.
That would be cool.
It just says that there's going to be a Jay story, but it doesn't say. The image on it looks like Shannon to me.
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter, but hey. So next up on the news, some interesting remarks from Tom King here. So Tom King's opened up about his decision to kill Alfred in Batman.
All he said was he had it coming. He knows what he did.
Yeah, this was all on the Word Balloon podcast.
Yes. But yeah, the decision to kill Alfred came from DC. King himself planned to save his life following a cliffhanger ending. But DC stepped in and said, we'll kill him.
So now we can't be mad at editorial. Now that we can be like, hey, editorial, stop messing stuff up.
Do you know what?
But here's the thing. None of us were mad that Alfred was dead. It was more just the way it was handled. And that we didn't even feel it.
Well, this is the thing, though. I think not an apology necessarily, but like, I think I give King a bit more credit now and why it feels weird, because this wasn't what he even planned. Like, this wasn't like his story.
I mean, it's hit or miss for me because, no, it wasn't his original story. His job as the editorial note is go through with it and kill it. He should have been rewriting that scene to have more impact.
Oh, that scene, but how late in the game did they tell him about this? If he was actually,
I'm not saying talking about the build-up,
because if he was actually
the aftermath,
because if he was actually planning on killing Alfred, the entire story would have probably had a different focus. There would have been a build-up to it. There would have been like a feeling of dread and all these other things.
That means our comic reading instincts were correct. That it felt off.
Yeah, something felt off. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it felt off, and this tells us something was off. Some weird editorial push here was.
Yeah.
and the fact that Didio was like, why is he not dead? Make him dead is like so.
Did he outright say it was Didio?
Here's a quote here.
Just... go ahead.
Oh no, I think my
eye
eye caught something that looked like Didio. It wasn't Didio.
Because obviously,
You know what?
my first assumption would have been it would have been whoever the bat editor is right now.
Yeah, maybe it just says DC's like, no, why isn't he dead? Why isn't he not dead? I feel like this, you know, now that like, you know, Didio's going around saying, maybe this is what I was thinking, because I was thinking of Didio's next thing that I was going to say. Is that he's been going around saying, oh, well, Doomsday Clock's technically on continuity because it took too long, and, you know, Alfred's dead. I'm like, but if you're the one who said, no, kill Alfred before Doomsday Clock came out, I feel like you were making the problem. When that wasn't even like a creative push from someone. They said, no, I need to do this for my story.
Real quick, it's David Marquez on the Jay Garrick story.
Oh.
So that's good. Also, when you look up Word Balloon on Apple Podcasts, we come up as number 2.
Nice.
So, good job, viewers, listeners.
Yes, that's great news.
Because none of those words match. Like when you just go Word Balloon, I mean, maybe Comics Podcast, but we come up second. So,
yeah, if you search DC Comics Podcast, we're either first or second usually. So
right,
that tells me that Apple's algorithms work, because obviously we are similar content in terms of what we talk about.
I just want to thank the people for making that. That's really cool, and we're sitting with favorable ratings on there. So keep the good reviews coming in, guys.
Yeah, reviews on Apple Podcasts.
Helps.
It does make a difference. More people find us. Yeah. In fact, one of the questions we got today is from a relatively new listener who's asking us a question that is applicable to a new listener. So it's cool.
Good.
I thought this was interesting just because it's like, oh, okay, we were right. Something was amiss about that whole debacle.
Yeah, and the bit with Didio there you're talking about, it just feels like John's obviously stepped into a different position over the course of, from when Doomsday Clock started to by the end, and it was just Didio's like, well, I'm in charge now, so we're back to my way.
I feel like John's was keeping him at bay.
Yeah.
So like Pete will get this. It's kind of like the difference in NXT once Vince got his eyes on it, right? Where I hate to compare Triple H to Jeff Johns, but you feel like Triple H was keeping Vince at bay.
Sure. And
you're like, no, go focus on other things. I got this. And once Didio's got his eyes on it now, it's oh man, that makes me mad.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't want to not like Didio, but stuff like this. The Dick Grayson, we already know he doesn't like Dick Grayson.
Yeah, everything with Dick and Wally right now is just like, what are you doing? You're just bastardizing them as much as you possibly can. I'd rather they were dead than do this.
Yeah. Well, I want to make it clear, obviously, we don't have a problem with him as a person, just his creative choices. And we've been enjoying Metal, man.
Yeah. And from what I understand, every time I hear an interview with him, it makes me like him a little more. Like when everyone was giving him shit at that WonderCon panel.
Yeah.
It was like, and he took it with a smile and like, I deserve that.
He seems like a nice enough guy. He's just
Creatively though, I wish people could be like, hey, think this through, guys.
I think he's a very competent storyteller. He has some great ideas. I think he is a bad editor.
There could be.
Yeah, he's maybe just not the right person to be in charge of DC. Maybe give him like his own little imprint where he can do like Metal Men and some other weird stuff that he likes to do.
Oeming
Metal Men.
Just give him those exclusively for the next 10 years. No one else will mind. And just go, look, go play in your corner with your toys, Dan.
And I bet you they'd be real good. I bet you, as we enjoy Metal Men, from what I understand, his Oeming is beloved. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. That was that bit of interesting news. Some usual stuff here, some delays. This one doesn't make as a surprise because Superman Heroes issue 1, which was the first of the sort of bulky anthology Superman books that had all the Superman various books writers involved. So the second one that we were getting later in the month, which was Superman Villains issue 1, or it was the following month, given when the first one was originally solicited, has been pushed back now as well. So while this feels like everything's bad here, it just means it's just a knock-on effect because the first one get pushed back, so now this one has to get pushed back. It's because the first one's Superman Heroes issue 1, this one's Superman Villains issue 1, but effectively you could look at this as just issue 2 of the 2-issue thing. So It makes sense. So that was going to be on February 12th, which is actually, I think, when the resolicited Heroes is. No?
Heroes is February 19th now.
Oh, it's a week later, okay. So this was going to be February 12th. This will now be March 4th. So similar 3-week delay. So not much to say. Just I wonder what the hold-up was with these, or if they were changing some story around or something, but that's what's happening. So, cool. And then next up, another delay as well. This one's sad for people who are reading it, because this has been... I mean, not only this, but the previous series was also suffered to a lot of delays. This is Doom Patrol Weight of the World issue 7, the final issue of the series. Is now aiming... I love the phrasing here in Newsarama's article. Is now aiming for a March 11th release date. That's a 6-week delay from its original date. So
yeah, and they did tell our retailers they're going to just cancel the collection and resolicit it later rather than just delay it.
Yeah, that's fair. Word. So hopefully that comes out eventually, because people do seem to enjoy that book. And this is the thing: if I was as into Doom Patrol as I am now, when like all this Jared Way stuff was starting, I probably would have stuck with it and really dived in at the time.
I went back and read that whole first volume, and it is incredible. It's
I know. Talking Superman, to bring him up again, I forget what event was going on concurrently, but he said that Milk Wars was his event. While that was going on. It might have been No Justice, I'm not sure.
That's the release schedule for that was an absolute nightmare, because they released it out of order because of delays.
Yeah. And Gerard Way is doing this Weight of the Worlds, right?
Yeah. I
wonder if this has to do with My Chemical Romance coming back.
Probably. He's a busy man.
Yeah.
He's also got a TV show on Netflix to deal with, so
yeah,
he's busy.
Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah. Joe, it's funny actually. I saw someone on Twitter, clearly a My Chemical Romance fan, complaining because there was like an article a while ago that said something like, "Oh, just who is the person behind Umbrella Academy? What is this guy's past?" And it was like, I feel triggered by this article, and I started laughing because I'm like, you know what? No. Leave My Chemical Romance in the past to die. Thank you very much. He's a better writer.
They're much beloved by multi-generations now, because I work at a middle school and kids still wear My Chemical Romance clothing. So
we're all doomed.
They have stayed back, even though it's not for me.
Matt, these are the kids that are going to be taking care of you when you're an elderly man. So I'd be worried, quite frankly.
I'm not that much older. Good Lord. But yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. They're not for me. I like their first 2 albums. After that, it's fine.
Yeah. So next up, slight reclassification here. Strange Adventures from Tom King and Mitch Gerads, which we're very much looking forward to. That has been bumped up to Black Label and is officially for 17, ages of 17 and up. So
nice.
Not super surprising. Makes sense given the mature themes that it'll probably have.
Yeah, which started a conversation with Tom King about adding actual swears versus wingdings. Mm-hmm. And Tom King is like, yeah, I could, but wingdings looks funnier. So, and he
was saying how if he reads an actual swear in a comic, it just takes him out of the story because he's so not used to seeing it.
Right.
I forget.
I get that even with when we talk about Birds of Prey, when we do that review, I feel it there too.
The movie.
Superhero, and the superhero movies. So yeah.
Honestly, I think part of this is more continuity in the sense that it's easier to just say, if in the future they want to say this is not in continuity, we're going to say it was a Black Label the whole time.
Just to piggyback there, the Birds of Prey review is getting recorded tomorrow, so you can look forward to a extended review of that from the 3 of us coming. It'll be up early for patrons on Sunday night, and it'll be up on Monday for everyone else. So a day after this podcast, basically, regardless of if you're on Patreon or just getting the the public version. But that's coming. I'm not saying a word. I'm not revealing what I think at all until we talk about it tomorrow.
When we're talking about the content of cuss words and whatnot, and I don't know, I'm so conditioned with the Marvel Cinematic that it's so clean and. Like, they can say shit and then have Cap yell language. And you can have Deadpool.
There's no F-bombs in that one, is there?
No. And you can have Deadpool with all his filth language and whatnot. And
you kind of go, but it's Deadpool.
Right. when it starts getting to DC proper and Harley and whatnot, it's odd, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, that is now a Black Label book. So that is the news, unless anyone else has something that they've found over the week.
Yeah, just Tom King spoke a little bit more on Word Balloon about Batman Catwoman. Give a little bit of an update.
Oh, okay.
He talked about what it is as a concept for a start. He said it's actually going to take place over like 50 years. It's like it's their entire relationship from the start to the end. So from the moment they met until the moment they die is what he said.
That's cool.
This would have been a weird final 10 issues or whatever of his Batman run.
Well, he gave us bits and pieces of that throughout. I mean, there was that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said it was inspired a little bit by that Batman annual that did this.
Michael Lark.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, if you like that issue of Batman, then you'll probably like this.
To be fair, I think most of us did like that issue of Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said, though, it's going to be a while till we see it. And now, I don't know if they're doing the whole we're waiting till it's all done before we solicit it thing. Like, I don't know if it's going quite that route. I don't know if it counts as Black Label or not.
I don't think it does, but I would probably imagine they're just waiting until he's so far ahead that there's no chance.
Yeah. Right now, he's only written the first 4 issues, and Clayman is drawing the whole thing. So it's going to be a while.
That's good. Just release it when it's ready instead of piecemeal.
I wonder what he ends up doing, because even though he's doing this and Strange Adventures, he's getting ahead on both of them. So I have to imagine there's going to be some sort of ongoing or something from Tom King that's announced later in the year.
Probably.
I would imagine so, but we'll see. All right, cool. So let's get on to some questions, audience questions. We'll start with the emails. So remember, if you're sending in questions, you can send them into mftvquestions@gmail.com, which you can do at any time, and we'll sort of just save them and sort of have them banked up for next time we use questions. Of course, when we do want to ask for questions on Twitter, you can send them in there. You can send in longer questions or even a list of questions. You can do all sorts of things. So we got a bunch on the emails this week. People are starting to really use it, which is cool. So first up from Emil Kilday. So first of all, he thanked us for pronouncing his name right. And I'll be honest, that makes me nervous that now this second attempt, because I've forgotten what I said the first time, that I have now butchered it this time. So I have no idea. So hopefully I did, say it properly. But anyway, so another question here. I've been loving Far Sector so far, which I think is in part due to N.K. Jemison's sci-fi credentials, and it got me thinking, are there any storytellers from other mediums that you would want on a comic? Whether it be a movie TV director, novel author, video game developer, or even J.J. Abrams' son. Anything is possible. That's a good question. Do you have any that spring to mind?
I mean, we're fairly close to Fincher with Joker Harley. So, I mean, I don't want to say Fincher.
Yeah.
Who else?
I don't know. It's not really something I've thought about often.
I want David Lynch to write a comic about the life of Grant Morrison.
I want David Lynch to draw his own comic.
He does do art.
He
exactly.
went to art. Yeah, he fell into film. It's one of my favorite stories about David Lynch is he went to art school to be a traditional artist, and I guess he did a video as one of his projects, and they were like, "You're really good. You should start." And then he fell into film, and now is one of the most prolific filmmakers. Actually,
Joe, I'll suggest I'll say the writers of the Expanse books for a sci-fi comic. Not
sure.
The Expanse, but like just I could see them doing a cool sci-fi comic.
See, I'm bad for this because I haven't read proper books in a very long time, and if I do, the ones that I've read it's by Charles Soule. So I already know what he writes like. And then on TV, I don't watch too much, especially right now. It's prime sports season.
I mean,
so.
I've read a few video game comics from the writers of the games that have been pretty good. Like Dragon Age comics, Mass Effect comics. Some of the earlier ones of those respectively had the writers from those games do the comics. I'd like to see them do other stuff.
Yeah, I have one. I'd want a James Gunn or a Taika Waititi comic just to see how that translates.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. So,
you need the right artist to partner with them, I feel, but judging with Taika, judging from Jojo Rabbit to Ragnarok to What We Do in the Shadows. He's pretty versatile.
I wonder if, like, I don't know, someone like Vince Gilligan, right? If you take the sort of the craft that he puts into like Better Call Saul, and you give it to a sort of down to earth, gritty comic, it's maybe still set in a superhero world, but something like I don't know, like if let's say we're bringing back like a gritty Green Arrow or something like that, could like he like make that sing in a way that's different to the rest of the DCU.
That seems to me kind of like what Brubaker and Phillips do.
Yeah, kind of.
It's very akin to Gilligan.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is reminding me, because obviously what we're doing here is we're picking writers from other mediums because tend to, the artist has to already be able to draw, generally speaking. Right. It did remind me, I spoke a couple of weeks ago about the Art Cred project. That was where it was like 35 artists doing a page from a Kieran Gillen script.
Right.
They're actually doing that again coming up.
Nice.
And Pete can actually check them out this time because they're using a page from our Lord and Savior Tom Taylor as the script.
Hey, nice.
So even better. Much
so
better.
You've got 35 pages of Tom Taylor to read when that comes out.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who else off the top of my head right now. Like, I mean, if I'm leaning into that, Dave Filoni, I think, because we know what he can do with properties that aren't mainline, right?
Yeah.
Because my favorite Rebels and Clone Wars episodes are about side characters, like the rookie story arc with the rookie troopers, and that was him. Who else from that? I'm trying to go into animation now too, because it's when you think about it, animation is a pretty good comparison.
How about Alex Garland?
Sure.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen Annihilation.
Yeah, but you've seen Dredd and you've seen Ex Machina.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Wait, he did Dredd?
He wrote Dredd.
Oh, shit, I did not know that. That I like him even more. Like, I already liked him. It's funny because there's a Domhnall Gleeson shows up on the new Star Wars ride. That's all I'll say. And I was like, oh yeah, he was in Ex Machina. And he just reminded me because he's Hux to me right now.
How dense would a Sorkin comic be?
Oh god. Ben's, but there'd be no art in it. It would just be text. It would just be bubbles and bubbles and bubbles.
But here's the thing, though. I imagine it would be compelling because the walk and talk is his trick. That's like the most compelling dialogue ever. So if you put that into a comic, you could probably make that shine even with a mediocre artist.
However, he is adaptable because Molly's game did not feature a lot of walk and talks, and it was just as compelling. But it's very. I wouldn't mind reading. Like again, this is my go-to is Brubaker and Phillips because it's so, enhanced reality, where people sit and talk around a table for an issue. I would definitely read a Sorkin comic that's a meeting, like sitting at a diner and people discussing, whatever.
Oh yeah, I mean, basically what we're describing as is variations on the 12 Angry Men sort of style, where you just have the dialogue be the story, and that's always great when it's done well. Okay, we'll move on. Move on to some other questions. So from James Miller, who sent in a few via email here. So, with all the great titles coming out of Black Label, if you had to take one character or book away from mainline continuity and issue them under Black Label for limitless creative freedom, which would you choose? And you can't pick Nightwing. Though, to be fair, as much as I want to save Nightwing, I wouldn't put Nightwing in Black Label anyway.
No.
Because he belongs in the DCU.
See, I don't want to take anybody away. I like the idea that they can be concurrent, right? Like, I don't want to remove Flash from the DCU to just have him exist in Black Label, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not reading it admittedly, but I feel like something like Justice League Dark could work in this way, though. Instead of being in the DCU, put that in Black Label.
The obvious choice is just Constantine, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'll take Starfire because she's not doing anything, and if I could get a Black Label take like her Key West adventures with Connor Palmiotti and Lou Pacino.
Yeah, because they're doing a Black Label, Harley thing. So why not have them do a Black Label continuation of Starfire? Right. I'd read the hell out of it.
Yeah, so because I like that personification of her the best, and she's not doing anything outside of Odyssey right now. So
she's not doing anything at all.
No.
I mean, the answer to the question, though, the reason why you wouldn't do that is because it would sell at 9 copies.
No.
That Starfire sold all right.
Did it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it ended naturally. Like they extended it past the 6. I think it went to 12 or 14.
I just wanted to get a reaction. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Trying to think of
I don't know if there's anything. Yeah, I can't really think of anything I want to take away from the main.
I think the other
series.
answer is to go back to something we said earlier. Oeming, and then Didio can just go and do that for the rest of his life.
No, Commandy. Like, it can just exist in the Black Label. It doesn't have to be continuity.
Actually, I've got one. Do a Swamp Thing book. There's no Swamp Thing in the DCU right now. Really, I mean, obviously, he exists, but like he's not around. But I think Swamp Thing, as much as I do like when he interacts with things, I like him best when he's on his own. He's this monster, and it's this, like, even though Alan Moore's Swamp Thing run, it does technically take place in the DCU because there's little things here or there. It works to me because it's kind of on its own little world, off in the corner, doing its own thing.
Yeah.
So I can't get into that.
I would love a Black Label that's kind of like Swamp Thing meets Hellboy, to where he goes and it's not just,
Sure.
he goes and encounters creatures, right? Other monsters, or
what you want
concepts.
is you want their Swamp Thing Agent of Shade.
No,
yeah.
What I'm kind of hearing from this is more Hellboy meets Godzilla, where Swamp Thing's the good monster taking on other monsters that only he can fight.
That's Frankenstein at Age of Shade. That's that book.
Well, but like Swamp Thing lends itself to folklore in the way like Fallout Boy, Jesus Christ, Hellboy does. Don't ask why my brain filled in Fallout Boy. It's been a rough
spent
week.
5 minutes talking about MCR before the show started, and now Matt's got that on the brain.
Right. Goddamn emo phase.
That wasn't before the show started. That was in the show.
That was during the show.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I lost track.
You look stupid now, Connor. Not me. But no, yeah, like Swamp Thing doesn't always have to be verses, but like send him to Texas to look for the skunk ape that's causing chaos or whatever. Or up to Salem to investigate, the modern day witch trials or whatever. Like, you could do stuff like that. Damn, man, with that book.
Is the Tower of Fate still outside Salem?
I have no idea.
I mean, it was last time I remember it, but we haven't seen it in so long that who knows?
Oh, well, it was in No Justice, so why not? Because that's where the big rock, the Wonder Rock.
That's true.
Or the Wonder Seed. No.
Trees.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we'll move on because this is all sort of branching off of that question. Alternatively, if DC decide to make all books Black Label with the exception of 5, so this is a bit more pie in the sky kind of stuff. Which 5 books would you choose to sustain the mainline continuity? Feel free to name classic books that aren't currently in print, like Green Lantern Corps, so on. Bear in mind, if you want to put a generic event book in there, that would have to be part of the 5. So,
just to spite Connor, I want Action, Superman,
well, hang on.
Justice.
That doesn't spite me because
it isn't necessarily the current creative teams, Matt. To be fair, like
means the books in general. So you want
and
Superman
Legion.
No
more DC for Connor.
He found 5 Bendis books.
Hey, everything else is still going. It's all just Black Label. That's fun, man.
I mean, what's weird about this is that it feels weird to like cut Detective or Action, but I feel like I wouldn't want 2 Superman and 2 Batman books if we only have 5.
I'd probably take in general because if it's not the current creative teams, and we're just like on the name, I'd probably take Detective and Action over Batman and Superman.
Sure. So Detective and Action.
Wonder Woman.
Sure, but that's 3 out of 5. Like we're already only got 2 left.
You gotta rep the Trinity. Green Lantern Corps, and then
The Flash.
No, not right now. I'm okay. I'm okay with Flash, not Black Label right now.
Well, yeah, but we're not really talking about what's in print right now. We're talking about
Pete. I get that. This is still what I would do. So I want my team book, right? I want Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and then my Green Lantern. I'm set.
So here's what I think you do. If you've only got 5 books to maintain the continuity, here's what you do. So you have Action and Detective which, while are mainly Batman and Superman focused, can rotate around the other characters in the family when they be, right? And then you have a Justice League book, right, which can be the team book, but also will occasionally just have a Flash arc, or will just have an Aquaman arc. It'll just, and that's how you sort of...
That's stretching the limits of what a Justice League book is.
No.
Right.
Okay, well, don't call it Justice League then, but the point being is that you have some sort of book that can rotate through characters for arcs or issues. Think of it like... the Young Justice animated series, right? Think of it like that, and the way it can bounce around the characters and stuff, or even Justice League Unlimited. All right? You have something like that can rotate around the characters. Right.
Yeah, I think your problem is though, you've got to find a book that has done that already in the past, because this is what we're doing here. You can't just create a whole new book. It's like, okay, what title is?
Is that one of the rules? Damn it.
Well, I mean, you could argue. Am I frozen?
Yeah. For some reason, your camera's frozen.
Yeah.
We can hear you just fine though. You can.
Is he wiping the camera?
No, I was rubbing my head. Son of a bitch.
Just turn it off and on again. The camera.
I can't. It's in the computer.
On Skype, there's a little video symbol next to you.
On Skype?
Yeah.
Let me find it. Let me get to Skype.
Oh my god. that should be some camera. That should be.
Yeah, press again.
Oh my god. That shouldn't be pausing the show. You should be able to keep talking whilst troubleshooting here.
Chaos reigns.
Anyway, I don't know, because I think 5's too little, because ultimately, there's not enough to even do all the main DC characters that you want to have a book for.
That's the whole point of the question.
Right. And that's why I'm okay with losing Flash just to guest appearances in either Batman or action or detective. Or Teen Titans.
I think what you have to do is you have to do detective, action, and then to go along with my idea of rotating cast, I think maybe something like Brave and the Bold, right?
That works.
Yeah, you can have
there
that one.
Right? And then, probably some sort of Young Justice Teen Titans, a book that can rotate around those younger characters and have teams with them. And then, for the 5th book...
See, my book for that would be Green Lantern Corps, because you have all the Earth Lanterns, plus... I would put them back on Earth for stuff, Like I would bring back Jess and what's his name? He's been Simon Baz, right? And you could have the other heroes rotate too. So something happens, Hawkman can pop up. We've never seen Hawkman and Green Lantern team up, right?
I do think 5 is too extreme. I feel like a happy medium for this, where it would feel just right, where it'd be easy to keep up with everything, would be like 10 or 12, right? Spread throughout the month. I
like the limitation of 5 though, because it's making you.
I know. I'm just.
Characters
it's adding value.
I understand what the rules of this game are. I'm just saying that if we were actually applying this, it would be more like 10 or 12 to have enough to cover all the things that need to be covered, and then that would be enough, and it would be like 3 books a week.
See.
Easy.
This is why me and Connor, technically, you're more editorial minded and Pete's writer minded. Or vice versa. I can't think who fits into what. But me and Connor are like, 5, that's it? We got this.
So, all right, let's solve that problem.
Yep.
I actually kind of follow along with a similar line to what Matt did.
I want an amendment. Yeah, I want an amendment to the rule. That's Pete.
Yeah.
I'll make my own damn rules, thank you very much.
Mine would also be action and detective. Instead of Teen Titans, I'm actually going with JSA, because that gives me a range of older and younger characters, a lot of side characters, a lot of legacy. So I can kind of throw in all sorts into that book.
Yeah. John's before it split to JSA and JSA All-Stars.
Sure, yeah, if you wanted to. Then I would also have Green Lantern Corps, just so then I've got freedom to have any lanterns, Earth or Alien. I can do space stories, and you can do Earth stories.
That was kind of my point, though, is that I feel like if you only have 5 books, almost all 5 of them have to be able to rotate through some sort of, batch of characters in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Honestly, I think detective and action don't necessarily rotate. Like, I'm thinking more like they'll just be supporting characters here or there. Not like you won't have this is the Supergirl arc. You'll have, hey, here's an arc where Supergirl features for a bit. Detective,
right. Or Supergirl and Lois team up.
Sure. Detective, you might treat it more like Tynion's, but where it's a team. You might have a guest appearance for an issue or two from Nightwing, say, who's not on the team already, and that's how you get Nightwing every so often.
all we've established with this question is that 5's not enough. That's what I feel.
No. We've established you can't manage to get
Right.
down to 5.
I'm like vintage Big E here.
5's not enough.
Don't give me 3. I need 5. I'm good.
5 is just so not enough. Need at least double that. All right. Then the final question from this one from James. With Terrific's being surprisingly solid adaptation of the Fantastic Four using DC characters, which other publishers' titles could you adapt this way? Let's not talk about Damage and Sideways. I will stick up for Sideways, sir. But
Sideways is good. More on Sideways later.
Yeah.
But
I always thought a TMNT adaptation using the Robins might be fun.
that'd be cool.
That's not a bad idea.
No,
That actually really works because you've got Batman as a Splinter and you got Raz as a Shredder.
A Shredder, yeah.
Huh?
Who's Krang though in all this?
Crocs.
Crocs Krang.
Why not?
There's some parallels there that could work. I'm a big Turtles fan, so I'm down with that example.
Well, that one fits stupidly well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to do this because I mean, Squadron Supreme's already a JLA ripoff, right? So like you can't try to do an Avenger story with the Justice League because they're so different.
Well, you could have completely different characters that more directly correlate with who's typically on the Avengers. I don't know who they would be. Like, I mean,
So I mean,
Wonder Woman has a shield, so she the Cap, I guess. And then
she's the Cap or the Thor. Like,
who's got a mechanical suit? The Atom, kinda.
yeah.
Pushing it there, really, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, you could do. I'm trying to think Spider-Man with Nightwing or Daredevil with Nightwing. Those go pretty well.
Yeah, but in that context, you're just like, okay, we're kind of doing a Daredevil story that's been done, but with Nightwing. I feel that this is the question.
But what I mean is, no, but you could still do a Daredevil-esque story where, that's grittier than what we're typically seeing on a Nightwing.
It's kind of funny seeing that some of these have already been done. Like we obviously Terrifics and Fantastic Four.
Right.
Lemire's Green Arrow is the Immortal Iron Fist.
Yep.
We had Grayson, which was, hey, let's do James Bond.
Right.
A lot of these big things have actually been done, and very well for the most part, actually.
Yes, I mean that last one was a terrible example that should have
Oh,
been
man.
done. But
You don't like Bond anyway, so screw you.
because James Bond's the
Yeah.
worst. It's garbage.
Did I tell you guys my thoughts on the new movie? Where I was like, I don't think I need to go see this one. Then I got a trailer at the movie theaters a couple weeks ago, and I went, son of a bitch, I'm seeing this, aren't I?
It looks so good.
So longest Bond movie yet, Matt. Prepare your bladder.
That's fine. I used to care about getting up to pee. Now I don't care. I'm like, whatever. I can go. I can
You've reached old man
fill in what I
stage.
missed. I have. If I gotta go, I gotta go. It's not worth holding it and feeling miserable.
I've not left a movie to pee in the theater since I was a kid.
Well, good on you.
Yeah.
You don't drink
You've
enough
only got a
water.
couple years left in your peak.
No, I just don't really. I noticed that I need to pee sometimes at the end of a movie, but I just don't feel it while I'm watching it. My body's just trained to deal with it.
No, I get what you do. Like usually go 2 hours without going to the toilet. That's nothing, right? But it's you're in the back of your head. Your body knows that you can't. So it's like, well, screw you. You're gonna need it now.
I feel like my body just knows that it's just not the time, and it's because sometimes as soon as the movie's finished, I'll stand up and go, "Oh, I need to pee now," and I didn't before. But it's just like it just kicks in. It's weird. So my body's just trained for it. We had a terrible job at answering that question, but it's actually kind of a hard question. I don't know what else I'd pick, to be honest, because all I'm thinking is all the Marvel stuff, and that's not an interesting question. I mean, my picks with this tend to be like, oh, let's do like how like Aquaman Kid did an Aliens-esque like arc, like give me stuff like that. Give me, I don't know, give me the Suicide Squad and an Inception story or something. I don't know, like just take.
I read the shit out of. You put Tom Taylor on that, and I'm reading it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Just take a good movie plot and give it to an appropriate set of characters or one character from DC. All right, so another email question up next from Brett Williams. Hey guys, first I want to say I love your show, and I love your show more than Pete enjoys going over sales figures. Well, that's a lot.
That's a
That
lot.
is a lot, yeah.
My question focuses on the books that you guys have dropped. I'm wondering, besides the need for dropping those less than stellar books, as I totally understand, there's only so many books you can read each week, but as a relatively newish listener, which books have you all dropped and why? And there's a little follow-on that I'll do at the end as well. Yeah, so this is basically just sort of to establish what we've dropped, I guess, which is currently still publishing. Which,
Okay.
and now that we're 4 years almost into this show, they've racked up a little bit,
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, a lot of the ones that we've dropped are no longer publishing anyway.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, like Batman Beyond, which me and Matt did read for the first, 7, 8 issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is kind of hard to believe that's still going.
I know.
I forget.
good
And
for
then you
Dragons.
look at it and go, wait, like 40 issues? What the hell?
It's one of 3 books that still have the original Rebirth writer on it.
Mhm.
It's still chugging
That,
along.
Flash, and...
Red
I forget.
So, I mean, and the reason why we dropped that, it's not that it's a bad book. It felt, it seemed like it was an enjoyable enough, fluffy read.
Time
but,
crunch.
yeah, it wasn't needed for.
That Terrifics was the same way, where we're just like, we got to the point where that week was too bogged down.
Well, it's one of these things where, like, I don't mind having a busier week if all the books feel distinct enough that I feel like they're all adding something different. I think the problem with Batman Beyond is that it wasn't really adding enough to really feel like it was worth the time in the week of reading. But it was a fine enough book. Terrifics is one where I think the arc was maybe the biggest blow to it, where the arc wasn't that great when it was getting busy. And it kind of tempted us to both drop it, even though I'm still tempted to go back and catch up on that at some point, because I do like the writer.
Aquaman was like that for me, and then Pete went back and said how great that Aliens-esque arc was, and then when Sedgwick came onto art with Abnett writing, and then I picked it back up, and I've been reading it ever since.
Yeah, there's been a few this past year that I've actually dropped just because I've fallen behind in an issue, and then couldn't catch up.
That
Age for Hero, Wonder Twins, and Freedom Fighters. And I feel bad about all because they're all 12-issue series that probably aren't selling that well. I really should probably be giving them a proper chance
Pete.
I know.
It's all your fault.
I'm bad. I know. I'm terrible.
I mean, I just recently dropped Flash because I just can't take it anymore.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, but
why hurt myself just to keep things going?
What's the odds that after he reads 750, which he's still going to read because it's mostly other
Yeah,
stuff?
I'm still going to read 750, but
that he's back on board.
Which,
Taking that bet.
but you know what? I got Nailbiter coming up, so I can be excited about a Williamson book. So
and Batman
yeah,
Superman's been pretty solid.
To
be fair, so.
But as for stuff that I've dropped, it's like what Pete said. It's a time crunch. There really hasn't been anything too much for like quality sake.
Yeah, for the most part, there's some writers who we know we don't like, and Orlando taking over Wonder Woman meant that Wonder Woman was getting dropped for them, and and it can happen that way with a few other people as well, but
Bendis.
Well, for you, yes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the little add-on here, I'll bring this up now. He's got a PS as well, actually. Also, I really wanted to know, Connor, what did Bendis do to you? Give you a suitcase wedgie? Criticize the facial hair? Does he dislike gingers or something?
I'm pretty sure I went over this at the time when he took over the books, but that was a while ago now. So for anyone who is newer, I dislike Bendis's dialogue. I feel like he has a lot of it, and for me, 90% of his characters sound the same. And the characters don't sound distinct, and I don't really enjoy reading them. So even though you can just tell me the plot, and most of the time the plots sound fine, I don't have a huge problem with them. Usually, there's the odd occasion where he does, definitely, but so do all writers. Generally speaking, though, I just don't enjoy reading his dialogue. So that's why I've learned that, and then I've just wasted my time reading his books, unfortunately.
Yeah. Bendis word balloons are like boobs. There's never enough. It's always room for more boobs.
Yeah, I'm mad at myself for laughing at that.
Yeah. Well, I joke that even though I said last issue Young Justice was maybe a bit overkill even for Bendis, but I wanted to crack my dumb joke. P.S. I left us with the body of the question. I'd hate to derail the primarily focus of the question, but he's asking if we ever considered a monthly show called Dropped Comics from the Multiverse. That's really specific. No, we haven't. We've never considered drop comics from the multiverse.
No, Matt, your mic's going.
Yeah.
No, because we don't want to read them.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's why we drop them.
Most of the stuff
Usually.
that's dropped is because we just don't want to read them. There's a couple that are maybe for time that seem okay, but they're not necessarily worth going back for. But that said, like there's a couple that are kind of borderline, and then once get quieter again, I get tempted to maybe I'll go back and try that one again.
There are books that are as well that are fine to read, are perfectly enjoyable, but they don't have a lot in terms of discussion. I'm thinking back to something like Super Sons, where that's a perfectly enjoyable book.
That's true. Yeah, I eventually.
But there's very little to say about it each month that's different. It's not, it's just it's more Super Sons, and if you like Super Sons, you'll probably like this issue.
Yeah. It's a fine little bit of fast food, but there's nothing really much to say. By the time we got to like issue 8 or 9, and that's kind of where I stopped anyway. So cool. So that was the emails, and we'll go into the Twitter questions. So thanks to the email folk for those questions. So on the Twitters. From @Cathanis, what creative team, past or present, would you want to write your favourite character? My first answer would be Johns in Green Lantern, but there's already decades worth of issues. So my pick would be Humphreys back on Green Lanterns. He mentioned on Twitter that he has at least another 30 issues for Jess and Simon. That hurts. That really hurts. I would love to see my favourite Rebirth series continued. I would love that too. I missed that book.
Mm.
I definitely do. As for a creative team from past or present on a book,
creative team, does it have to be someone who's done the book before, or is it just a team?
It is a creative team, yeah.
Yeah, his examples both had people who'd done it before, but I think it was just broad, yeah.
Okay, so the team for me is really easy. I want Guillem McKelvey on a DC book.
I
would. That is what I want.
What book though?
That's the question.
Red Hood.
Let's start. Screw you. Although I'd read the hell out of Red Hood if they were on it.
Yeah.
You would the hell out of Red Hood anyway.
Yeah, but I'd do it voluntarily.
Oh dear.
I mean,
I want them to Zatanna.
Right. My go-to is always Wade Somney Superman. I want that.
That's a good pick.
So much.
I would take that. I think Wade would also be great. Basically, I want Wade back at DC, but I'd also JSA by Wade. I think would also be a treat.
Yeah, no, I've decided Guillem McKelvey on Teen Titans / Young Justice, and they can just do more of what they were doing on Young Avengers, because that remains to my day the best Marvel book I've ever read.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was gonna put Bendis on. No, I'm kidding.
You've got JRJR art, so I'm the one winning.
I think Wade's a big one. I'd also love for Mariko Tamaki to get an ongoing book. I think she'd be perfect for maybe being a new writer on Batgirl or something like that.
Who do you partner her with? Because so far in DC, it's really just been being super, and that was with Joelle Jones.
Yeah.
That was a good team, though.
That was a great team. I mean, Joelle Jones would be great, but I feel like she's probably too much of a superstar now to just be on the Batgirl book.
I want Brubaker Phillips doing Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
Really? Birds of Prey? Damn.
Yeah, I feel like they could bring something new to Birds of Prey.
Just because you get that,
Just a question here. Is this a Birds of Prey with Harley Quinn or Barbara?
No.
I mean, probably Barbara, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm on board then.
If Harley Quinn is there, I'll still read it. But I think in terms of their book, it's a bit prettier than a Harley team.
Yeah, so with Harley there, Harley would have to be a force of nature type, right? That's not part of the team. Just shows up and shakes things up.
No, I'm very on the record as okay with having Harley and Birds of Prey books that are in these Black Label ones that we got coming up. I'll read those. I'll hopefully enjoy them. But if I'm doing a Brubaker Phillips book, probably not a Harley team.
No, you want Babs there. You want Babs as Oracle specifically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so we'll move on to some other questions here. We've got a couple of 5G related questions on Twitter, so I'll do those back to back. So first from @Superman's Papa.
Which one?
That's a good question. Doesn't specify. But since we're running head first into 5G, I'm interested on what threads regarding hypertime you're all interested in seeing paid off. Wave Rider as the Seer of Hypertime, bringing back Old Man Booster, maybe picking up some of the strands left by Morrison and Multiversity, or going deeper, perhaps picking up on the quintessence moves from the Kingdom. Will we see GOG?
I don't think we'll ever see GOG again. That's very...
That's niche.
Yeah. Unless Wade, comes in. We get our Wade thing. If Wade wants to play with GOG and the quintessence, picking up... That's fine.
I'm not sure how much threads it's going to be picking up at all. I think it's more trying to streamline and neaten things. So it's probably not going to go crazy into it.
Let me read this other question as well, because it kind of has some similar things in it. At Stanley Coda, all this talk of 5G and maybe New Gods playing a role, I can't help but think of Morrison's JLA run and Metron talking of the Fifth World, implied to be Earth. Is this the payoff to that? Snyder loves picking up on Morrison threads, just because we're talking about threads being picked up.
Yeah, so that was always my take. Anytime something involves the New Gods and knowing about Morrison and his idea of the reason why Earth's so important to Darkseid is it's basically the seed of the Fifth World. So the Fourth World ends and he wants to get his claws in before. I always love that idea. So I guess that's what 5G could be, right?
Yeah.
This is the new generation.
My gut reaction is probably not, but if it is, then I'm in for it.
I don't think so either. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if it was, because he does like to pull from Morrison stuff, and not even just Morrison, just DC continuity in general. But
I do like that Morrison's kind of inspired a generation of people who because he was the one who did that, right? He pulled from all these random stuff in the past and created whatever. Yeah. And now you do have other people kind of picking up that torch and going, hey, let's do what Morrison did, but with Morrison threads, because Morrison left them intentionally for that reason.
Right. Well, he is kind of the keeper of the metaverse, right? Because to him, all of these stories has happened. It's just, that's what that whole part in Final Crisis was about, when Superman goes to that other realm of the forgotten people. These are all comic characters or literary characters that existed. They're just not in focus right now, so they're kind of lost.
I definitely feel Morrison stuff is very proto-metaverse stuff. Like that was the idea of it, and Johns has refined it and given it rules and established it.
Yeah, I would say that Johns made it digestible.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Which is good, and they work well together, right? Like they worked at DC at the same time. Back when they were both just writing before Johns.
I feel like Morrison is basically like, get on my astral plane level, nerds. And then...
Here's the thing: I don't think he's been pretentious. I think he is just so insane and been so high on whatever drugs you want that he just thinks that everyone understands.
Oh, sure. I'm not saying he's intentionally being pretentious, but essentially, the attitude that comes off is like, just get on my weird other world level. And Johns takes it and makes it like this as a more of a package that we can actually consume.
Like, yes, okay, but let's hold their hand a little bit, Grant. You crazy Scotsman.
They don't need it. They're fine. They'll get it.
They're fine.
Actually, do you know what this is? Grant is painting things on a cave. Johns is the archaeologist who's finding it, centuries, thousands of years later, and translating it for all of us to understand in modern English. That's what's happening.
When it first got into comics, Grant Morrison was just this name that carried a certain weight, and I was convinced. So he's probably this pretentious type, and then I would read interviews with him and hear him on podcasts and be like, God damn it, I kind of like this guy. He's crazy, but I like him.
He's borderline insane, and but he's such a great speaker. That's why he has these stupid random concepts and ideas that no one else could come up with.
He's kind of a cult leader that way, where you're like, this crazy guy, and all of a sudden you look, you're like, yeah, listen to Grant. It happens real quick.
Yeah, Pete's going, hey, he's like, get on my wavelength. He's like, yeah, I'm there. I'm on it.
Yeah, so, but yeah, no, he so the Hypertime stuff, I would love to see the Time Masters come back with Rip and Booster Gold.
Probably the most likely thing that we're going to get.
Yeah, that's my main threat with a proper Booster and Skeets, and you could even throw Wave Rider in there some way, just have Rip Hunter and his chalkboard. Yeah, all these different mysteries.
I think
that's my jam.
It's worth mentioning, as far as we know right now, which is admittedly most speculation based on the stuff that has leaked. is that 5G is not an event. It's worth mentioning that 5G is not a story in and of itself. 5G is a status quo like Rebirth that's going to be around for a while. Metal 2 is
we're told there will be an event, not Metal 2. After Metal 2, there will be an event leading into it that will deal with hypertime and kind of fix some things that will set up. It will be the equivalent of the Rebirth one-shot.
Yeah, 5G will spawn out of this event, whatever it is.
Yeah, and that's what we'll be playing with hypertime and quote-unquote setting things straight and establishing and neatening things up.
And unfortunately, Wally Manhattan, or Wally, or Rick West, or whatever we're going to call him.
That is what they've done. They've Rick West.
Yeah, he's going to be central to all this bollocks, probably, because of his new position.
The only thing I have that might be positive coming out of that is that to fix it, he'll have to not be a part of the universe to fix it. And yes, that means Wally is gone again, and that's shit. But I'd rather have that.
Yeah, I said it last week. I say it again this week. I'd rather he be dead than have all this happen to him. It'd be simpler, and I wouldn't have to go through all this pain. Move on, another question at Chris Bracefield on Twitter. Do you have a number of issues in a day you essentially max out, where your retention of the stories just starts going down, or can you blow through more with no repercussions? For me, it's 3 issues of a different comic series per day, or no more than 1 trade paperback of a single series. I have no hard and fast rules about this. I think my only kind of thing is that typically when I'm reading, with the exception of rare occasions where I really get into something, like in a trade, say, typically when I'm reading single issues, I tend to read them in batches of 2 or 3 back to back. And I might do that multiple times in a day, but typically one sitting is going to be 2 or 3 issues.
Honestly, for me, not really. There might become a point where I just become mentally fatigued and tired from reading, and I'll take a break and be like, okay, I'm done. But I mean, just like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I caught up on like 20 issues of like 4 different series, like the Buffy and Angel stuff. I'm counting that as one thing. Ronin Island, Die, Once and Future. I caught up on like between them like 20 issues in one day over maybe 2 or 3 sittings, and that was no problem.
Yeah, my limits have not been tested. I don't think. Like, I forget things that happened a while ago. So like I'm reading Rucka's Lois Lane. I went back and read Checkmate. A lot of stuff that I'd forgotten about, right? But then once I started reading it, it got all refreshed. Same with Sacrifice, the story that comes out of Oeming with Superman and Wonder Woman and the Max Forward stuff.
That is a good story.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff I forgot about. That goes on there. And,
there were stories from years ago that I couldn't tell you now off the top of my head. I'll give you the vague things, but details not at all.
And it might take a minute to refresh my memory. Shoot, here, if I read something on Wednesday and it was like the first thing I read, I need a quick refresher before we talk about it.
Oh yeah, like I've said this. I said this before. Like I want recap pages because I always forget if you ask me what happened in any of the issues from last week, I'd probably struggle. I'd probably have to sit and think about it for a while before I actually got it. Now, don't get me wrong. As soon as I start reading the next issue of a series, within the first page, all of it comes flying back to me once I start looking at the stuff again.
Usually, I actually have a book this week that did not apply to.
Okay, sure, but usually.
But like I've sat there and I'm trying to get caught up on Soul's Vader book. I read 6 issues in a sitting, no problem. So, like, I finished the back half of that first trade because they put the big thick book out. So, it's the first 12 issues.
I think just on retention, though, I think it's pretty similar because you're just saying, I want to skim through a book I read on Wednesday.
Right.
That could be the only book I read that day, and come Saturday, I'll want to give it a quick skim.
Right.
So it's not like there's I read too much else.
And it's
confusing my brain.
What drives me nuts is at my age now too, I can remember songs from my early teens that I haven't heard in 20 years.
Yeah.
But one of the songs from Birds of Prey, I could not remember how it went, and I just saw it last night. Right? So it was just trying to find that song this morning.
I think, to be fair, Matt, that may be more to do with just having heard it once versus something you heard a lot over a period of time.
Yeah, but like even if it was 20 years ago, I can still remember the lyrics to some stupid song from, 2000.
Yeah, but if you heard it 100 times over the space of 2 years, it probably it get burned into your brain.
But I haven't heard it in 18, right? So It's weird.
It's
how
kind
that
of like a
works.
muscle memory thing, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
things that you think you've forgotten that you shouldn't know, and then bang, there it is.
Yeah. So the brain's weird, man.
Oh,
Like, that's all I
absolutely,
can say.
absolutely. Yeah. So I don't have a limit per day, but I do have a limit in each sitting, which tends to be about 3 issues, and it tends to be more about just like I have to stretch my legs more than it is anything else. I just get restless and want to move around.
I find I can read more in print than I can digital. I think it's the light of a screen in general. Like, I read, 4 or 5 maybe issues on a screen, and then I'll go, right, okay. And even though I spend all day staring at a screen anyway, but then I feel like I need to go and, I'm not reading as intensely. So I feel like after that I need to go out, but I can burn through like a 12-issue trade paper, and absolutely no problem in one sitting. And that's fine.
I haven't tried to read a paper trade in a long time, so I have no idea what I could do with that now. I feel like I could at the time. I feel like when I was reading The Walking Dead in trade, I used to read those trades in single sittings every time. I think I did.
Well, that happened to me with Checkmate. I'd roll off like 3 or 4, in the trade, and then I'd get like Pete Says Restless. It's like, all right, I'm gonna go do something else right now. But I usually only read around like bed or my break at work at this time. Like it's when I get home, I'm doing stuff with my wife, or unless I'm by myself. Like last week, she went to the gym with her friend, and that left me here. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna read, watch some wrestling, switch it up.
That's why, like, for me, it was like, that day a couple of weeks ago, it was like, usually I'll read in bed, I'll read an issue or 2 before I fall asleep. I'll read my weekly comics, obviously, Friday night, Saturday morning. And then, I got a day off. Paige is out, or she's at work, probably. I'll sit and just burn through them all. And part of that is that I felt like, okay, these really need to get bagged and boarded and put away because they're starting to stack up.
Yeah, that's the fight with me right now. Is quit leaving your stack of red comics on the bar. And I'm like, yeah, but oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I've been catching up on the Buffy Angel stuff myself. I have 2 issues of Buffy and 1 issue of Hellmouth, including this week's Buffy. So I'm just about caught up. I've just got
it's good.
Last couple to do. So Elsewhere, which is going to be on the opposite weeks as previously, if you don't know what previously is, it's our new classic DC comic show that me and Connor are doing. So check out that, which is every other week. There was an episode this week. That was good fun.
Does that mean you're nearly ready to start Elsewhere?
No. I need to catch up on a couple of other things first. So
okay, fine.
You still reading Coates' Captain America?
I will. Yeah. I will be. I'll be catching up in that.
Okay.
I'm up to date.
It's so fantastic.
Good. Yeah.
There was a moment in this last one. I read it when we were in Anaheim, and I almost made us late to leave.
Yeah,
I was like, let me get to the end.
My only problem with that last issue is the art. Obviously, it's been changing like every arc. So, and it's not that it's bad. It's just that it's
it didn't
jarringly different to what the previous tone of the book has been.
Yeah. So that one, Immortal Hulk, and Avengers are my main.
Yeah, I'm not.
Books right now.
I'm not in a super rush to catch up on Avengers, but Cap and Hulk I'll be doing probably next.
Yeah, Avengers is just it's popcorn comics right now.
Yeah, like I'm reading Avengers, and it's like, yeah, this is fine, but I don't need it either. Like if you were like, oh, you haven't got time to read Avengers anymore, I'd be like, all right, fine, whatever.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too, and then I'll get caught up. I'll go digitally and pick up the the last 3.
If you're not reading Daredevil, Matt, you should try Daredevil. That's been good.
I need to get caught up. I have the first issue sitting on my iPad. I just haven't had time. So once I do, I'll wait for a sale.
It's real good. The art in the second arc was a bit. It felt kind of what you're talking about is the tone was just off compared to the art in the other arcs, but.
Yeah. I mean, if we're on my top Marvel books right now are Captain America, Hulk, Daredevil, Thor. The first that's like 2 or 3 issues in
2
there.
issues.
Still, 3 issues are still great. And Hawkeye Freefall is only like 2 issues in, but I fell in love with that.
I've heard good things. I liked Rosenberg's Phoenix book that he did.
I read that.
Resurrection.
This is the first thing from him I've really enjoyed, but it's good.
Yeah. All right. So last couple of questions then before we move on. At Sig, what was the biggest missed opportunity of Rebirth besides Wally West? For me, it was Super Lex. I always thought it would have been cool if Dan Jurgens' Rebirth Action Comics run had focused on Lex Luthor trying to be a hero. And there was little bits of that in there, but it wasn't as much of a focus as I think maybe we were expecting.
They kind of threw that out for Apex Lex, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I'd like to do and see Action do something with like it's not under Bendis, obviously, just in general. But,
Of course.
and then back to like when Cornell did that stuff they did, like that kind of period, that
The
style
Black
of
Circle.
story. Yeah,
Oh,
that
it's such a
style of
good
story
story.
with Lex at the center. I'd be down for that sort of thing again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's not so much I missed because I think it was absolutely great when the series was still going, but the way they flubbed the ending of the Green Arrow book kind of stings, because I really loved that when it was Percy on it, and I didn't necessarily love completely like that run that was just starting at the end, but I feel bad for them because it just got taken away from them a few issues in. It was like,
and I like the Bensons. Like I've liked what I've read out of them. I'm trying to think what else.
I mean, honestly, it's kind of threads from things that have not been people like early on in King's Batman, like the stuff with Gotham Girl. I think Gotham Girl was the biggest missed opportunity in that
biggest
book.
whiff. Yeah.
In that it started off as okay, this could be interesting. We're setting something up, and sure there was a future with Duke that none of us were particularly excited about, but there was as a character.
But at least it was something interesting with Duke.
And then by the end, it was just like I never want to see Gotham Girl again.
Yeah.
Same with City of Bane with me. I feel like that whole story, like, and I don't put this on King, but the way that it was sold, I wanted to see more of Bane just taking over, and it wasn't. We saw more of the reaction to it.
Oh yeah, I mean that arc was more about it wasn't focused on the actual main. No. It was outside the main story. It was like he wasn't interested in doing. It felt like a tie-in book to an event that had a separate book, except there was no separate event book. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, that's the third. I will say Green Lanterns. I missed that book. This is like the third time we brought it up. But
yeah, again, much like Green Arrow, though, it's kind of a weird one because while it had a kind of a sad ending because it just kind of disappeared, it wasn't really a missed opportunity in and of itself as it was going.
The book itself, while it was going for like 50 odd issues, was pretty good.
Yeah. So,
and of course, wait, did he say we can't say Wally or we can't say Dick?
He said other than Wally because Wally's the obvious one.
No, Dick wasn't a missed opportunity though. I think Wally's a missed opportunity in the sense of the promise of we're getting Wally West back wasn't delivered on.
No, but what they were trying with Dick Grayson, I feel like where Percy had him, and he was trying that to throw it out to do Rick Grayson.
But again, that's something that came late. I feel like this question is more about things that were promised at the start of Rebirth that kind of got whiffed on. Whereas we're talking about things here where we had a good couple of years of the thing happening, and then it changed because comics change every once in a while.
Yeah, we're more talking about things like, oh, Mr. Roz. Like, I personally, I'm okay with the way that turned out. I quite liked that story, but that was something that was set up really early on, and did that deliver or not? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
I liked our idea way more than what we got, but hey.
I guess one argument could be, the tease of like Mira and Aquaman getting married, and they've kind of like hinted at it once or twice since, but it's not been something that's been at the forefront. But I'm digging Aquaman so much right now that I'm not really that fussed about it.
Yeah. That Cyborg book. That what it was supposed to be about human and humankind and technology, where one begins and the other ends, and just kind of.
You were hoping for like Ex Machina meets like the Borg from Star Trek, and it ended up just being this generic cyborg fights things.
Sci-fi story. And I'm like, that could have been so good because I want to like Cyborg.
Alex Garland, that's what he writes. He writes Cyborg. He writes a good cyborg story.
There you go. Yeah, why not? I'm trying to think of some other things on there.
Honestly, I think like the most of the core things that were at the start were delivered on. Most of them. Wally is the big exception. It's things that came later that undid some of those things. That is the problem.
Yeah, which I wouldn't count as Rebirth not delivering on. I'd say that's just something that came later and changed things. So
trying to go back because New Superman ended up being really good.
Better than we ever thought it was going to be.
What else was there?
Yeah. Well, maybe that's
Batgirl's been fine. Supergirl's been fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going through the Rebirth.
I'm trying to think what was in the Rebirth one shot and what was not delivered on. I mean, honestly, some of the bigger things until recently would have been like Legion and JSA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously now we're at a stage where Legion are back, and people are enjoying that. JSA. They've appeared here or there, and it's obviously coming. I would say we're at the stage where it's delivered on that promise, even though it's taken longer than we'd have liked.
What feels so weird to me about answering this question is that Well, the DC continuity is kind of off doing all these weird things, some of which we like, some of which we really don't like, and it's whatever. We did have Doomsday Clock, which does feel like the true like payoff to Rebirth, that one shot, right? And the only thing that maybe makes Doomsday Clock feel like it's maybe missing is that Wally's not really included in that Doomsday Clock story at all. That's the only thing that feels like if Wally was included in there, I would feel like I had the perfect payoff to that Rebirth one shot.
Yeah, honestly, it kind of goes Rebirth one shot, the button, Doomsday Clock. Am I missing anything else in between those?
Nah, it's pretty much just that.
No.
And that is again, like I say, Wally aside, which is why Wally is the missed opportunity. That's a pretty satisfying story.
It is, yeah. The fact that the DC Universe is doing all these other things is just kind of, well...
It's irrespective of the point, though, isn't it?
Yeah. So... Yeah, and this kind of actually almost ties into this a little bit. From @Rez1980, this is the last question. If you had to guess, what was John's original plan for the Mobius chair?
Well, being that it's the complete knowledge and Batman used it to find out about the three Jokers, I feel like that was it. I feel like John's entire thing with the Mobius chair was wrapped up in the Darkseid War.
Yeah, I mean, it's potential that we might get it back from John's and Three Jokers, but
and so I think that's where his plan is, and I don't think the Mobius chair being imbued with the power of Dr. Manhattan was anything.
There's a possibility that he planned that, given that was right at the end of his run, and he was going into Rebirth, and he obviously already Dr. Manhattan was going to be a thing. He knew that at this point. So it's possible that was always his intention. Maybe he didn't expect it to be used like this, but it was all it's possible he'd set it up for something he was going to do later down the line.
Yeah. I never really thought about this to be honest. I never really felt like there was much more of a plan for the Mobius chair from Johns.
Yeah, me neither. Like outside of just, I did like the twist that it can't be true. Wasn't like the Joker was someone that we didn't expect. It was like, oh no, there's been three.
Oh yeah, I always like that answer because I think what I love about it is that it's not answering the question. It's answering with another question that makes them go, "What the f?" Like it's like a genuine.
It's who's the Joker, and the chair answers which one. You're like, what? I can tell you who's not, and it's Joaquin Phoenix, because
or Jared Leto for that matter.
Yeah, or him. Yeah, Oscars are tomorrow, and I've never actively gunned against a movie. I have for this one.
It's winning actor, even though Adam Driver deserves it so much. But Joaquin Phoenix is going to win.
I can't believe how many it's been nominated for. I didn't count it, but I was looking down the nominations. 11. Was it 11?
11 is the most nominated film.
That is absolutely absurd. That movie is mediocre. I don't get it.
I've said at the time, I think it's better than mediocre. I think it's a perfectly decent, good enough movie. It's enjoyable, but it is it's a remake of Taxi Driver. It's well acted. Don't be wrong. Yeah, it's not as deep as it thinks it is. Writing.
It might deserve some of the because it's wonderfully shot, right? Like we talked about that.
Yeah, I think cinematography, sure. Acting, sure. I get why. Yeah. Music, absolutely. It's a great score. I will stick up for that all night long.
Who's the composer on that one? That's
I'm not going to try and pronounce that because that's like the Icelandic sounding one.
Okay. Sure.
So it's not.
It's like it's a woman. I think it's actually the first woman who's ever been nominated for score in the Oscars.
So it's not Thomas Newman, who I just found out is Randy Newman's cousin. Found that out this week.
I have to admit, though, I felt a bit uncomfortable. This is nothing to do with the plot of the movie, but there's a Gary Glitter song used at one point, and I have to admit that makes me feel so uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and I think that's the intent, though, right?
Over here at the time, where there was reports that he was getting royalties from that, even though he was in jail, and people were like, that's weird. And they had to put out a statement going, "We're not giving him the royalties. Don't worry."
He's not being paid. And if that is the point, I feel it actually makes me feel worse that they're using it to actually get a reaction like that. I don't know. It feels a bit skeevy to me.
You mean the director's pulling some cheap tricks? Oh, I'm shocked.
the guy that made The Hangover and Road Trip.
Did he do Road Trip?
I would have seen that coming.
Yes.
I did not know that was the guy. That was Phillips from The Hangover.
And I have no issue with comedy guys going over. I love what's his name that did The Big Short and Vice.
Oh, Adam McKay.
Adam McKay.
Yeah.
that great. Jay Roach, another one, fine. But like, I don't know, man. I don't feel like you get to turn in your copy of a Scorsese movie and get
And honestly,
nominated
I think
for
for me, the
Best
biggest
Director.
defining moment of everything around that film is still him saying the success of it had nothing to do with it being the Joker and being part of Batman DC. And like it had
Bollocks.
everything to do with that. Like
Yeah.
it's a fine movie. It would have performed probably okay. It probably would have made it would have made back its budget and been successful enough because it had a tiny budget, right? So it would have been
Yeah.
fine. I don't think it would have flopped. Would it have made $1 billion? Not a goddamn chance.
Well, no other R-rated movie in the history of cinema has made $1 billion. So clearly, like
not a goddamn chance.
Like the buzz was that Warner Brothers were going to be like ecstatic if it broke 500 million. So the fact that it broke $1 billion means that they
never
are
saw this.
they're doing handstands and cartwheels around the office.
The official budget was 55 million.
Wow.
Include marketing, you're probably looking at what 100 million.
Yeah, which for a comic book themed movie, that's nothing anymore.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're
It's tiny, like for what this movie is.
Look up what Birds was real quick while we're at it, because that's the next.
You want me to see what his
comic
budget
book piece.
Birds. I think was about 100 million for the budget, or under it maybe.
It was 97.1 according to Google.
Yeah, there you go, about 100.
So there you go.
In just to give this reference, Suicide Squad was 175 and Justice League was 300.
Yeah,
175. Most of that was music rights.
do you know what?
For Suicide Squad, though.
I hate that $100 million is now medium for a movie budget. That's
Yeah.
now a medium budgeted movie.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, this is on the for superhero movies still on the lower end, right?
Yeah.
But it's not a superhero movie. It is a comic movie.
What's so
But I would never-
what's so insane though is that it was estimating that it was going to make 50 to 60 million opening weekend. Warner Brothers, as the movie studios often do, put their estimates out on the conservative side because they want to be able to say, hey,
Yeah.
it broke our expectations.
Yeah, they were expecting 40 to 45. I think they were saying.
Right.
45. It was 45 million, and the actual estimates now that Saturday's numbers have got proper estimates, is that the weekend will make 33 million. So it's underperforming even by their conservative
Really?
estimates.
Okay.
So, and it's funny because I think it's interesting that we had a Joker movie and then essentially a Harley Quinn movie back to back, and one far overshot what it was expected to do, and the other one is underperforming. And I wonder if part of it's because it is Margot Robbie and because it at least looks like it's connected to Suicide Squad, that while that did well, everyone hated it. So
I'm gonna say anecdotally no, because when I went to the cinema, I went in the middle of the day on the Friday, so
Yeah.
there weren't many people in there, but middle of the day on the Friday, I wasn't expecting there to be a lot. But there was like 4 guys in front of me, and one of them went, "So did you guys know this was a sequel to Suicide Squad?" And they all went, "No, really? This is connected to that?"
I mean, it kind of isn't, isn't it?
No,
It's-
yeah,
kind
no,
of.
but, like, that's the point. Like people don't really know.
No.
People
okay,
don't
well,
know.
in that,
I went.
I was gonna say, in that case, I would say it's the marketing spot then, because I thought the trailers were pretty bad. I thought the posters all looked terrible. I think the marketing is what.
I think the first trailer wasn't great. I think the second trailer was
Yeah.
much better, and it was very indicative of what the movie actually was.
See, I went on a Friday night, and while my theater doesn't tend to get packed, there was more people for Birds of Prey than there was for Star Wars. And that, as a Star Wars fan, kind of made me sad.
Is that just because Star Wars had like 50 showings though at the same time? So
I don't know.
everyone
This had a
was-
lot of showings too. Like we missed the 6:30 showing because I lost my sunglasses. Found out they were at home, and so we went to the 7:00. So there was a 5, 6, 5:30, 6:30, 7
yeah.
showing Gauntlet. Star Wars had a lot too, but we went to a 7:00 show for that, and scattering of people compared. So
Yeah, there was basically no one at my showing. It was like maybe like 4 other people.
Yeah, I should say, like I said, I went at 2 p.m. on a Friday, so I'm in the middle of a work day and school day for whatever that is applicable, and I went into the IMAX screen, which is twice the price of the regular one. So
is that
already cuts out a lot of your audience.
So that 33 million, Pete, was that domestic or is that worldwide?
That's domestic. That's the domestic opening weekend.
Okay.
The worldwide is probably going to be like double that, but that's low.
Well, because I heard it was tracking for 100, so that's why.
That'll
I
be
saw
worldwide.
that'll be worldwide for this movie.
Right.
And obviously it's easy to make that mistake because obviously other movies that could be domestic because some movies do make 100 plus.
Although
But
to be fair, like I said, they were never expecting 100 plus on this movie.
Right.
no.
domestic.
but it's it's basically half of what the first estimates were, and lower than what their conservative public estimates were from Warner Brothers. So regardless, and I'm not saying anything about the movie itself. I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. I'm keeping it all.
None of us have said anything there, actually, about the movie. That was some great restraint on all of our parts.
I'm keeping all my opinions until tomorrow. So look forward to that. I imagine an extensive. I mean, it won't be as long as an episode of this show, but it'll be extensive for just reviewing a movie. It'll probably be about 90 minutes to 2 hours long, I imagine. So look forward to that. But anyway, so yeah, that was kind of from the last question, which had nothing to do with Harley Quinn or Birds of Prey.
I can't remember what the question was anymore.
It was the Mobius chair stuff. So, hey.
Because I brought up not my Joker, because we were talking about 3 Jokers.
That's right. That's how we got into it. Okay. So thanks to everyone who sent in questions. It'll probably be a few weeks again before we do this again, but thanks to everyone who did send them in. They're a big help and give us some talking points to fill out a show. Well, let us begin this week's comics with Batman issue 88, James Tynion the 4th writing with Guillem March on art. And I said this on Twitter, like yesterday or whatever, that I don't like Guillem's March's art. I still don't. But after Action Comics last week with that horrendous John Romita Jr. art, this didn't seem that bad this time.
As someone who didn't have to put myself through that last week, I still hate it.
Here's my thing. I've seen art that's far worse. I don't mind March's layouts. Detail work is what I don't like. I don't want to see his Riddler ever again. His Riddler grosses me out. His Catwoman with this current costume, I don't feel it works as well. However, a lot of the other stuff, his Deathstroke, also another one, his Penguin, I don't need to see his Penguin anymore.
Yeah.
Very grotesque. However,
no, I'll tell you why his Deathstroke sometimes works is basically whenever they don't see their face, whenever there's a mask on or their face in shadow, that tends to help.
Yeah, so the issue here is that Catwoman is on comms with Riddler as she's digging up a grave for reasons we don't yet understand, and she's talking to him about some pact that her, Riddler, Penguin, and Joker. Arguably the big 4. I mean, I'd argue Two-Face is bigger than maybe 1 or 2 of them, but
But here's what I thought about this is Two-Face is outside of them.
Sure.
You never know who you're going to get with Two-Face. So with Riddler, Catwoman, and Penguin, they're all on the same kind of... If we're breaking this down into alignments, they're all kind of on that same alignment.
Yeah, and Joker's kind of like the wild card with them.
Yep.
Yeah, the others, they're all stories that you can play with them completely legit. Like Penguin can do a legit businessman period. Riddler has done the PI stuff.
I just realised we're talking about three male villains and a female one, so it actually tracks with It's Always Sunny in terms of like comparing them.
Who's the wild card?
Well, Joker's Charlie Day, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah. And then obviously Catwoman's
It's kind of ironic, Catwoman being the bird.
And then I think Dennis is Riddler and Max Penguin.
So
that makes more sense to me.
Yeah,
Dennis is definitely more the mastermind,
Yeah. Well, no, DeVito's Penguin.
Oh, that's a good point.
Where was that, guys? There's the layup.
I know, it was so obvious. Obvious.
Anyways, so the art, it wasn't as... Maybe because it's an expectation, though, thing, too. Like, we know we're getting March. So, just manage expectations.
Do you know, I don't think he's Cheshire and Batman are that bad for the most part.
No.
I mean, they're not the best versions of the characters I've seen by far, but like they're okay. Like I'm not, So we were joking about how Batman or Tynion was saying that in every issue he wants to have a new Bat vehicle related gadget. This one has a Bat hologram that will go around a regular car to make it look like a Batmobile. But I'm glad that Lucius later on in the issue when Batman was ramming through like a wall is like, you do realize that the actual armor's not there that most Batmobiles have.
You're just still crumpling that car. And he's like, I don't care. Bill me, I believe was the line.
Yeah. Because when he's first telling me to take this car on the street, he's like, wait, you want me to steal this car? He's like, well, I mean, it's my car, and I
was like, oh, it's your car. That's fine then.
Yeah. Trust me, you'll pay for it. I'll charge you. Yeah. So it's basically that Catwoman's got this big secret. And what I liked about this issue is that, one of the things like following on from King's run was like, oh, are we going to like just forget that Catwoman and Batman were almost married and they had all this history? I like that this is following on from it, and it's going in a new direction, but it is taking that into account and saying, okay, Catwoman now fears the idea of Bruce sort of looking at her like one of them again, and there's this history where she was a proper villain for some time, and if that history and what they actually got, what they planned in this time comes up now, it's kind of like Catwoman was part of like a Tower of Babel type sort of plot against Batman, and now it's going to come out and she's now terrified of Bruce finding out. I like that side of it. I like that kind of idea that Tynion's playing with.
I like a lot of the ideas. I don't think I really like reading the comic that much.
That's fair.
I don't know, there's something like maybe it's part of the art, part of just, I don't know, the pacing of this issue, just it doesn't quite feel right to me.
That's fair. And now we have, obviously, Batman comes in to get all the villains that were taken from the prison. That new, what was it, the Black Room or whatever it was called.
And I like that Penguin's basically telling them, I'm so bought in with the police force. Like, that's how he was able to break in so effectively, which I liked. So... there's the reasoning there.
That was fine. Batman goes in, does some fighting, and Deathstroke actually slits Cobblepot's throat. Although he knows it's not lethal as long as he gets to a doctor. He's like, no, you can save him, but you have to go to the hospital.
You have to let us go to save him.
To choose.
Yeah.
Right.
So
it's a classic villain move that we've seen a bunch of times. Save them and let us go, or catch
but
us
there's something about actually seeing the villain like slit someone's throat that is quite visceral. So I thought it was an effective moment in that sense.
That's what that's a Slade move. Like, of course he's gonna challenge Batman on that.
Yeah, and I'd buy that Slade can slit someone's throat in just the right place where, they'll die if you don't do anything, but not immediately. You've got time.
Right.
And there's these mysterious characters that show up to get Catwoman, and the end of the issue is Harley showing up to save her from these two guys who are, part of this plan to seemingly take down Batman.
And
so
there was
we should probably talk about what Catwoman was doing.
Yeah, she was digging a grave, and inside the grave we see what looks like a Joker.
Right, and she's like, "Well, this can't be." And then the body starts talking to her. And there's a green font in the box, so that's it's a tell of something weird's going on.
Yeah, but it's not Joker's typical font though either. It's like a different set.
And then it starts spewing this green gas.
Which kind of makes her kind of like I don't want to say hallucinate necessarily, but she's kind of, we get this visual of like her, she looks like she's drowning in the rain almost.
Honestly, if I didn't know we were getting 3 Jokers still, and know for a fact that was coming, I'd be wondering, is this playing with that?
Yeah, that'd be cool. See if this was like one of the Jokers that, and these like 3 or 4 villains knew he was dead, or that one Joker was dead. Like, that'd be an interesting way to tie it into some of the backstory of some of these characters. But I don't think it is. I think this is a separate thing.
I do as well. But if we didn't know that book was still coming, and we'd had the 3 Jokers tease a while back, and just nothing happened with it, I would be thinking that maybe this is something to do with that.
Yeah, we knew Harley was coming because she was in a lot of the promo material for Tynion's run, so we knew she was coming early. It made sense that she shows up here. I don't like how March draws her costume. It's a little bit too in the clinging to the skin and body shape side for my liking. But
you're saying March is a bit of a sleazebag sometimes. Never seen that before.
But I do like the color scheme. Black and red, back to the sort of the classic a little bit. So I'm looking forward to seeing other artists' interpretation of this costume.
This isn't a new costume, is it?
It's not. I don't know what she's been wearing recently.
I feel like this is one that's been around for most of the Rebirth run. With this black and red like that. I feel like I've seen this for years at this point.
I don't remember what she's. I've barely seen her in that. No.
No, that's fair. Just this.
What
this
are we
looked
talking
like,
about?
I didn't think this was a new Harley Quinn costume. I thought this was the one she's had for years.
I thought she had a lot of blue and red recently. Maybe I'm just imagining.
No, this looks like the one from that we've seen in others. Although the cut off jeans with the pockets showing. Sorry to go yell at dogs that were barking because my neighbor's dogs won't shut the hell up. So which got my dog's going and
As you do.
Yeah. But yeah.
So, That was a fine issue. I think it's I mean, I like the story. Obviously, the art I'm not in love with because it's March, but like I say, after JR's art last week, this at least still felt like someone who should be paid to draw art, even if I don't like it that much.
Right.
So
that's so cruel.
It is cruel, but honestly, honestly, the art in that Superman last week might be the worst art I've ever seen in a mainstream comic book.
Yeah. Now's a good time to remind people. Please don't go tag JRJR in this stuff. Just leave him be.
Oh yeah, don't never tag. I hate when someone tags like a creator and like on a reply to a negative thing. Matt, you make.
Didn't you just tell him about
I
that?
did. I just tried to warn him.
Oh no, I didn't hear.
Oh
my god.
We can't hear them for what it's worth.
And I know, but it's been constant for the last 8 minutes.
Oh sure. Yeah.
And it's like, go, get control of your dogs. I yelled at mine. They haven't barked since.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, I think the story's fine. You know, I'm enjoying kind of the story beats that Tynion's playing with. Pacing's a little bit, like double shipping-y, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting that we know that when he started writing for this book, he was expecting monthly.
He was,
and this is only the third issue that he's done, so I don't imagine he got that far ahead and went, oh, by the way, this is still double.
I wonder at what point he had to switch. I wonder if he mapped out the first arc and then was told, oh, by the way, this is going to be double shipping still, and he had to like sort of quickly move on and get the next arc mapped out because he had to get to it quicker than he thought he did.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But I mean, obviously, Detective was double shipping when he was writing that, and he did a great job on that. I mean, there was the odd weaker issue, sure, but for the most part, it was a really enjoyable run. So, yeah, I'm digging this for the most part, even though obviously the art's whatever. I'm liking that he's kind of doing his hush, and by that I just mean that he's bringing in a lot of villains at the same time and doing a bit of everything.
Sure, yeah. I have to admit, like, honestly, this issue disappointed me. Because I don't think it was just the art this time. I think there's some clunky dialogue here or there, and
and I understand what he's doing with trying to add a new bat gadget, but sometimes it goes a little too far. Like, stupidly, I was fine with them repurposing a factory, right, to make stuff. I understand that. This holotech and stuff, I don't know. It's just
it just feels like just because. And I don't know. This is probably the issue that Tynion's written in anything in a long time that I've been the most underwhelmed by.
I have to say, I like the holotech more than I do the crab thing that turns into a bat wing. That felt more over the top to me.
Give me that any day.
Yeah, because I understand that, and I understand how that can go wrong. This holotech is just like, look, where does he get all those wonderful toys? And it's like, I get it, and you got to have some restraint to write Batman, so I'm not going to kill him too much for it, but it wasn't working for me.
Yeah, I appreciated that it didn't actually change the physical properties of the car.
Oh yeah, because I was worried it was going to do that. I was glad that they pointed out, no, it's still just a regular car underneath the hologram. I
would have loved a page at the end of seeing, when he smashed through, maybe it cut, the holo cut out, and we just saw the actual car crumpled to shit.
Yeah,
the wrecked luxury car. Yeah,
that'd have been funny. Yeah, that'd have been a nice beat if they'd done that. All right, that's Batman 88. Matt, what are you giving it?
I'm gonna give this a 6.5.
All right, Connor.
Yeah, I'm giving it just a 6. It's all right.
I'll go on the higher ground and say a 7. Obviously, the art's the main thing that kind of drags it down. And I mean, as much as I'm saying I enjoyed the story seemingly more than you guys did, I'm not saying it's the best thing ever, but I think it's doing a decent enough job at what it's doing. I'm looking forward to seeing.
It's kind of funny that me and Matt are typically the Tynion guys more so at this point.
Yeah, but mine was more tied to the art and some of the story stuff. I just didn't. Didn't work, and it makes sense. Pete was way more positive on it than either of us were.
Yeah, so we'll move on to Justice League issue 40. Robert Venditti writing with Doug Mahnke on the art. So this is the start of a new run, which on Twitter, and we talked about this last week, Snyder said was set before his run. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to count the ways in which this book contradicts that statement.
Oh boy, there's a lot.
Just before we actually get to the minutiae of when it might possibly be set, I just want to say I enjoyed this book. I enjoyed this issue. I like this, and I'm not going to let the timeline ruin that enjoyment.
I thought the issue was fine. I thought it was a perfectly decent issue. I'm not necessarily in love with it. It's just kind of okay.
If you put out of your mind that this is supposed to take place, if you just didn't see what Snyder had said and just read this, it still works.
I mean, it'd be weird coming after last week's cliffhanger. If this was just, hey, this is a Justice League issue 1. You're reading this in 10 years time. Someone goes, hey, read this Justice League issue 1 to start the story.
Right.
I think this is perfectly good.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think this puts the book back to kind of what it was when Hitch was writing it. Not necessarily in terms of the actual quality, but just in terms of, it's just kind of a fun book that's not really important right now. It's just, it's just that.
Fun romp of a teen book.
Yeah.
Look, I can kill it for all of the timeline inconsistencies, but Venditti just brought Sodom Yacht back into my life. I can't be mad.
Matt would love that.
So anyway, so here's the big things. There was some I didn't even notice that I read on Twitter after the fact, but the ones that stuck out to me that really stuck out is at one point when they're talking about things and like, there's magic involved. Hey, Wonder Woman, what can we do about that? She says, the Justice League Dark is busy right now. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Justice League Dark formed at the same time as Snyder's run started.
Mm-hmm. It did because they spun out of No Justice when they needed. Yeah.
I could concede, theoretically, I could concede that the Justice League Dark formed technically at the end of No Justice, and and then you've got the very beginning of the Justice League, run, and you can kind of fit it in right there.
Small window. Really There's a small window there, perhaps. Yes,
there is, but I can theoretically do that.
It's wonky, but sure, okay. So.
It gets worse.
Here's the two big things. The two biggest things by far is Alfred being dead, which even on its own, there's I think an unclear thing in the panels here where I actually thought Alfred speaking to him in one panel was like an AI. And because the very next page, Superman mentions to someone else that, ever since Alfred died, Bruce has been, on edge or whatever. And I was like, wait, what? And I actually went back and I was like, I guess it's an AI. It was actually Venditti on Twitter that confirmed that little panel was a flashback moment. And reading that again with that knowledge, because the next panel says autopilot engage after, in the flashback panel, Batman said, hey, Alfred, can you take control of the jet? So I can kind of see it there now that you said it, but it's not, I don't think it's clear. I think it's a really murky...
It wasn't clear.
Nah.
Because had until you said Venditti went to Twitter, I didn't...
I think... with the knowledge, I think there is actually some effective coloring that instead of all the red tint, it's got this green. This is the past.
And to be fair, I did notice the coloring change, but it wasn't clear enough to really tell me what it was.
Yeah, I could have done with something extra. But I with the knowledge, I go, I see what this is doing, but I am definitely knocking half a point. Just for that.
But it was a weird moment. But so we have that. So Alfred's dead. So this takes place after the end, or at least towards the end, of City of Bane, right?
Probably after City of Bane, otherwise Batman ain't doing this.
Also, in between, what other major thing that just happened?
Well, we also have Superman's identity has been revealed, and that's already happened. And here's the problem, is that these things, especially the death of Alfred, unidentifiably happened after the Doom Sigil appeared in the sky, right? Correct me if I'm wrong here.
Right. Yeah.
Did we see the Doom Signal in the regular Batman book?
In that,
I think we did.
It was the Garrett's part that I got really upset about because it focused on Bullock, and that was it.
Yeah, you're right.
So that happened after the Doom Sigil was in the sky. I don't know if it ever appeared in the Superman book, but I mean, even that just happened. That literally just happened.
Right.
So. And then there's a couple of other little things, I don't know the exact timeline here because you guys read Core and I didn't, but John dropping down as the leader of the Green Lantern Corps, where that fits in the timeline.
That was a while ago, admittedly.
Yeah, so I don't know.
That was before Justice League started.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
That's when Venditti was still writing Hell and Pals.
Yeah,
but there's some weird. And the problem is that even if you take away the fact that it's supposed to be set before Snyder's run, which it totally isn't, because it can't be set after. There's no way it makes sense to be set after.
It's got to be set during.
I guess,
in the
but
small moments in between their big grand adventures.
That's the problem, though, is that the book was so sequential and having this big ongoing crisis level threat the entire time that there is no time for it to slot in.
No, there's not, and I am just going to ignore it. That thing, I'm going to just go, Joe, what? I don't care. But continuity be damned, I'm going to just read the book.
But the final point I need to make here is that not only can it not be set before Snyder's run, because of when the Doom Sigil has appeared in the sky in these other stories that they're referencing, it has to be during the last little bit of it. It has to be during when everything's going on, which already didn't make sense with all the single books anyway while this was happening in Justice League. But now it's even worse. Now it's like there's a second Justice League thing happening during all this.
Honestly, I'm over it already. Like, I'm just like, okay, fine. It doesn't fit. Whatever.
Because I want to talk about the story.
Oh yeah, sure. My problem here isn't the accepting of it. My problem is then why even try and say anything about it? Why even try?
Because they knew people were going to say where this is going to fit in. So Snyder tried to get ahead of it and was wrong.
I think worth noting that Snyder said that he may have been mistaken. He may not have known the exact things.
Do you know what pisses
me
off?
There was no official word.
What pisses me off about this isn't the fact that that there's little... Because I can buy why there's little things that don't line up when there's all these different writers doing different things. My problem is that by forcing all the other books to have all these tie-in things, they put themselves in this corner. It was their own stupidity editorially that created this problem, and that's why I'm not going to forgive them for it, because they created this intentionally.
Do you know why I'm going to forgive them for it? Because it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When if in a couple of years' time, when I want to reread a Justice League story, assuming this ends up being a good, really fun Justice League story, I'm going, hey, I'm going to reread that. I'm not going to give a shit what's happening.
Well, no, I'm not saying specifically for this particular, but I'm just speaking in a large world sense. The reason why we have such a messy timeline right now is because they did this to themselves.
I will tell you why it doesn't matter.
It was so avoidable.
A genuine story reason why it doesn't matter. We're going to fix it all with Hypertime 5G nonsense in a few months. So screw it. Do whatever you want.
No, hold themselves to a better standard than that. Like, you can wave it all away if you want, but like, I'm not like I'll get past it and talk about the story in a second. But I just think that they did this to themselves. They made their own bed, and I'm going to pull them up for it. I'm not letting them away with it.
They know they're wiping it all away, like within 5-6 months anyway. They're like, screw it, just do whatever.
Which is fine.
It doesn't matter anymore.
Which I'm still going to call them out for it, because no, you should never say it doesn't matter anymore. If you do that, you failed as an editor, as a writer. It doesn't matter anymore. Is you effectively being lazy, and I'm not accepting it.
I think continuity just doesn't matter this much. It's nice when it lines up. It is. It's great. It's fun when things line up.
But this is not. But listen.
The story's good. I don't care.
Listen to what I'm saying. I don't mind continuity lining up. This is creating more continuity problems out of just sheer negligence. Than there needs to be. This is not natural continuity problems. We've always had natural continuity problems. This is going out of their way to make everything 10 times worse.
Yeah, but it's fun to read.
I'm not accepting this hand waving. Connor's just doing this to annoy me and to fight me on it.
Because I don't.
He is.
No, because I just... You can be mad about it, and that's fine, but at a certain point you have to move on and just... Like, okay, they messed up.
I'm on to move on, but Connor insists in following up everything I say with, I just don't care. And that's fine, you can not care, but I'm not letting them away with it. They fucked up, and I'm sticking to that.
All right.
They chose to do this, they messed up, and we're having to deal with it because of that.
So, Sodom Yacht crashes on Earth, and even John's like, man, where have you been?
Also, actually, why is the Flash a dick in this issue? Why is he out of character?
I don't know.
To be fair, I felt that's something we're going to deal with. He's having a bit of a crisis of who he is right now in this book. Right.
Yeah, because he gives Wonder Woman some shit when she calls him out when he hesitated during the film. And actually, that's why I'm only lukewarm in this issue. The first chunk of it, the entire fight they have with Yat at the start, feels that it's just there because they wanted to have a big fight. And afterwards, we're like, because he's basically, oh, I didn't realize it was you guys. We'll just move on now. I'm like. So that fight was just there so you could have a fight with everyone, at the start of the issue. Yeah. There was no purpose for it story-wise.
And you have to establish what Daxamites can do for people that don't know is that they're effectively Kryptonians, both a different weakness.
There's a better way of doing it. It felt so forced to me. It felt so forced just so they could have a big fight with everyone at the start.
So, it wasn't even a big fight. It was like 3 pages.
Yeah,
well, a big fight in that we get to see everyone whip out a power. So it shows the Flash doing something, it shows Wonder Woman doing something, it shows everyone doing something, and it felt so forced to me because they had to have this moment at the start, and the way they resolved it's like, oh, I didn't realize it was you guys. I was a bit out of it.
Do you know what? The amount of times we say that comics should be accessible for new people. This is baby's first Justice League. It's like, here you go. You don't know Justice League? First 5 pages. This is who they all are, what they can do.
Baby's first Justice League.
Which is fine. I'm not saying the tactic of doing this, but just give them someone else to fight. The way he just said, "Oh, I was out of it," so now we're fine, and just moved on. It just annoyed me.
Oh man, you're taking my Sodom Yacht away. Like I was so stoked.
I'm sorry, but
I got to that point, and then the stuff that he drops about how there's been, he left the Green Lantern Corps, became a politician on Daxam, and that he leads the isolationist party. And John's like, well, that's weird. He's like, oh no, I do that for our own good because Daxamite people are kind of suck.
We're kind of all dicks.
Yeah, and so it's good that we keep it on Daxam and then they explained that they share a common ancestor with the Kryptonians, and that's led to the Eradicator coming to Daxam, stirring up a certain group of Daxamites.
The premise of this basically is that Eradicator, because there's no Kryptonians left for him to kind of work with, he's went to Daxam and created Daxam super soldiers, which he's built an army of, and he's coming to Earth with these, and that's what the cliffhanger is at the end. It's them arriving on Earth. But basically, in discussing this, they're like, okay, what other weaknesses do you have, Clark? It's like, well, magic's usually a bit of a bitch because
they're like, what do you hate? He's like, I try not to hate things.
Yeah,
because they mention
that these Daxam super soldiers have basically taken some treatment to make kryptonite unaffect them.
They've bred it out of them genetically.
Yeah. Well, and that's fine because Daxamites they're vulnerable to lead. And that's what led to Mon-El going to the 31st century. But with Sodom Yat is, I forget what they did, but the Green Lantern ring adjusted to the elements for him. So once he had the ring on,
it filtered it out.
Right, it couldn't. He could be on Earth and deal with the elements and stuff. So here with these super soldiers, they've been bred it out. So it's essentially an army of Superman with no weakness that we know of, which. That justifies the Justice League story, if you ask me.
I have no problem with the core plot. The core plot being Eradicator's got an army of Daxamites that he's sort of turned into his own, master race of Kryptonians, essentially, and he's going to come to take over Earth. I am fine with that. I don't like the issue that much, though, because, like I say, the opening felt forced to me, and I actually don't think Mahnke's art here is up to his usual standard. It felt a bit...
It was fine.
It felt a bit
It was giving me old Green Lantern vibes, so again... that tickles my nostalgia bone, so I'm okay with it.
And then there's the weird
that it's not his best work, but I think it's solid. There's nothing there that I would point out and say, "Oh, that looks bad."
And then there's the weird Alfred moment as well. So I mean, even though I like kind of what the overall plot is, I kind of left this issue feeling very I don't know, Venditti for me, outside of one or two issues of Freedom Fighters, which I've tried. I've always felt kind of, at best lukewarm on, and this issue for me kind of continued that trend where I left it just kind of being like, it was okay. So I'm not super enthused about where the quality of this for me going forward. I mean, I'm going to keep reading it for now and see what it's like, but
I personally I liked it a lot. I will agree the flashback thing was weird. That could have been much clearer. I'm docking half a point for that one panel alone, because that was just not well handled. Things like the opening, I like the well, just a little introduction, and it's someone we know. This is cool. The thing with the Flash, while you say he was being a dick, I think he was being defensive. I think there's a difference. Diana's like, hey, something's wrong, and he doesn't want to admit it. And
that was less a critique and more just an observation. I wasn't really docking it for that.
Yeah, I'm more intrigued to see what we're doing with that, because obviously something's going on in his head. Because, he's like, I hesitate. She's like, you don't hesitate. And he's like, well, shut up. He doesn't want to deal with it yet.
Yeah. So I hate to be the downer, but I'm very lukewarm on this issue. For me, this is just kind of further proof of what I always thought of Venditti, to be honest.
Oh, man. And we got Xanadu coming in. I love seeing Xanadu.
Yeah, Batman goes to see Xanadu and gets a little wrapped up, as it were.
Which that's how he kicked off as Hawkman too, so I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have any particular, liking of Xanadu. I don't really care that she's here, if I'm honest.
Kept away. I don't like, Xanadu, amazing. It's always nice to see it. She doesn't pop often enough.
I've never wanted a Xanadu solo series, but when she pops up as a supporting character for whatever mystical abilities
you always enjoy
acquire, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where Hot Girl was in all of this, but she seemed to be missing just out of the roster. But it is the roster for Snyder's Justice League, just aside the fact that she's not there, because John's already there. I guess Martian Manhunter wasn't really there yet either. He's not in this book.
No.
I wonder what's going on there.
Maybe that's one of those things where they're trying to pretend it's before Snyder's run. They join like at the start of that.
That's true. So, I mean, I guess that confirms that it's not just Snyder saying it. That the book technically is trying to pretend that it's set then, but in doing so, it's saying that it's set after all these other things that came much later, which would be fine, except the Doom Sigil was in all those bloody books. Anyway.
Yeah. Timey-wimey.
I just, like... I'm not asking for everything to be perfect.
Hyper time, bro. I don't have to explain shit.
I'm not asking for things to be perfect, just to not make it this stupidly, like, wrong. Because it is. It's so far off the mark. Anyway, Matt, what are you giving Justice League
I'm
for?
giving it as a 7.5.
Connor?
Yeah, 7.5 for me as well.
I give it a 6. That was 6. I clearly had more problems with some of the things. I just hated how they've threw. Oh, I was kind of out of it. Oh, sorry for fighting. I hated that. I hated that explanation. It bugged the shit out of me. And then all the continuity problems, that weird Alfred flashback, art not being amazing, just being okay. So 6 out of 10. But I do like the Eradicator plot, for what it is. So cool. That'll take us on to Young Justice, issue 13. Brian Michael Bendis writing with John Timms. Mike Grell, who I didn't know was on this book, but I recognised his art straight away. I was like, is that Mike Grell?
Yep.
It's because the guy had a goatee that was very similar to Green Arrow's goatee, and it looked a lot like his Green Arrow. And then we also had Michael, Avon, and Oeming on art as well, which sounds messy, but we have 2 different places that separate artists, and then the flashbacks of the backstory in one place is the other artist. So they all split up into different things. It still feels a bit really weird because the art is so different, but
I don't feel that Oeming's art fits Guitar's.
I agree. I didn't like his art because it was so cartoony.
Yeah, it's fine for other things, right? He did Powers with Bendis. He's done other things. It's fine. However, I think it was a mistake to put Oeming's Guitars versus Grell's. So I had to do some backstory of stuff that I had to relearn about Warlord, and that was Grell's property. Like, he created it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the character here, Warlord, kind of based on him because he was in the Air Force, and how he ends up there with flying the plane and ending up in this world between worlds and whatnot. That all came from Grell and his time in the Air Force, which was just pretty cool. And then it kind of becomes like a Conan, John Carter of Mars kind of deal.
Interesting. I thought Grell's art suited the Warlord stuff much better, and you telling me that makes it make sense that it suits it much better.
Yep.
And obviously Tim's is still great on the regular Young Justice stuff. That's when all the other characters are there.
So good.
That stuff looks really good. So basically this is Superboy just meeting up with Warlord, getting the backstory of how Warlord came here, and they fight some lizard people. And Warlord's like, hey, you may be stuck here, but that's not so bad. I've turned out okay.
I've made the best of it. Look at me. And Connor looked at him and was like, yeah, but I don't want to be you. And it was it cracked me up because what he was describing is what Connor did in Gemworld.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, found someone and had a family, and now I'm living life and I'm happy. And Connor's like, yeah, but I want my other life. And he's still tied to that, and he's super emo right now.
This issue is very set up because it is just kind of like this stuff, and then the setup of the other Young Justice sort of saying, okay, we have to go to where this main Star Labs is. We have to go and figure things out, and they form a plan. There's some banter. Jenny's trunks reacting and making everything else in the area react. And the big cliffhanger is that. We need more backup, and Bart races ahead to the city, and we see in the last page who this backup is, and it's Steph Sideways, Aqualad, and is she going by Red Arrow, or what's she going by?
I don't know, but that's not.
It's not Mia,
Emmy.
Or it's not. Sorry, Emmy.
Last I checked, Emmy wasn't a blonde girl.
No, is this? Maybe it is Mia. Is this Mia?
Mia Jordan, who was Speedy.
Yeah, is Mia in this continent? I don't know. I'm confused.
This is the first I've seen of her.
I will say I like that Sideways is there. That was a nice little touch.
Me too. I saw that and went, oh man, all right. So in between all of the different teen heroes with Naomi and the Dial H kids and the Wonder Twins, Now you have these other ones too, and it's starting to feel. This is what Young Justice was with the big cast back in the day.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're gonna go take down Star Labs. So
yeah, because that's what this book needed, is more people talking. But no, I mean, honestly, I got
this one wasn't as bad as the last one.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't overstuffed. I like them all joking as well about stuff, because some of them are in the invisible jet that the Wonder Twins stole. Some of them are in the truck with Jenny, which has been flown by Teen Lantern. So you know, they're basically all bunched up together in these two things flying to the location. But obviously, I'm potting for Steph. Obviously, I'm potting for Steph because she's great.
I got stupidly excited for Sideways. Those who had seen him again.
Well, yeah, because part of us thought that he might just never show up again. He could just like vanish now, because honestly, the push for all those characters has kind of died down. But I'm glad that him and Silencer have been popping up. And even though I've not been reading, what was Silencer in recently that I've not been reading? And I was like, oh hey, it's cool that she's in there.
I don't remember.
But that's going to bug me. But she was in something recently that I've not been reading. I just saw that she was in. Maybe it was Detective or something like that. But I was like, oh, I'm glad that these characters are still popping up. And we said, you know, when Sideways special, maybe he can pop up in a Teen Titan series of some kind. And I think this is neat that he's popping up here. I'm glad that he's been included. That's really cool. But then, it was mostly a setup issue, but I enjoyed all the dialogue, and I liked the backstory stuff. It was maybe a little bit too much backstory for Warlord, but...
Yeah, but any chance I feel like Bendis could have him draw some pinups of the Warlord world, I feel like that's okay. Yeah. Or maybe Grell wanted to do it here, and he's like, "Oh, you're using Warlord? Cool. Here's some pinups that I drew." So, but no, that's good. A basic issue. A lot less talky than the last one. Emo Connor, I thought was a nice touch, because he's had it. You know, he just wants to get back. Yeah. So I understood where it was coming from, and him bouncing off of Warlord. I forget his name because he looks so much like Oliver Queen.
He does. Honestly, when the goatee comes in, because when he first lands in the, you know, in what's the place called? Skataris, thank you. He's not got the beard yet, but that grows in over time. It is like, man, he looks like Oliver Queen here. What's going on?
Travis Morgan.
There you go. Also, I don't think I don't see Connor tweeting, teasing that I get wound up during the Justice League review. I see it.
I'm just posting the memes that the people deserve.
Oh, those memes? I don't even see. I just saw the notification.
Oh, it's memes. There's a picture attached.
Hold on a second, I need to see this. Is that a Star Wars meme? I'm not happy about this.
Meme.
How dare you? How dare you use a Star Wars meme in relation to me? You sniveling little ginger piece of shit. How dare you?
This is glorious. I'm just all for memes right now, and I feel like we don't have enough memes going on, and I'm just going to create as many random stupid ones as possible, and anyone can get involved.
I see Matt liking it as well. I see all this happening.
Do you know what? I haven't even got the notification of Matt liking it yet.
I didn't like it. I liked something else, but
Tyler liked it. Tyler liked it already. Thank you, Tyler.
It was no. I got news for the Golden Knights that just popped up, and I'm confused as to why. So
Matt, that's what that face we did 90 minutes of questions. You don't have to talk about sports. Your threat is not needed.
Bring it up.
Oh dear.
I just liked it.
Anyway, Young Justice was a setup issue, but it was a fun setup issue, and I'm looking forward to more. So, I would give this a happy 7 out of 10, Matt. Well, I don't know about you.
I'm gonna give this an 8.
Sure.
Mainly for the Mike Grell art. It was nice to have. So, and I enjoyed it.
Awesome. We'll move on then. We'll move on to Lois Lane, number 8. Greg Rucka writing with Mike Perkins on the art. And I kind of loved how this started off with the Skull Lady, whatever she's called, attacking them.
Yep. Kiss of Death.
Kiss of Death, yeah. Because it starts and they're down like there's been like an explosion at the door, and like they're fighting her off, and Rennie's like fighting and all the rest of it. I dug all that, and then I love that all the firefighters and police are hanging around, and they're like waiting, like hoping that Superman will show up. And okay, I'm still unclear though. I will critique it a little bit. Does everyone know who Clark is now in this book? Because they didn't last issue.
I don't think so. I think they're all just like, oh, hey, Superman's here.
Yeah, because they're all Chicago too, so it's not like it's not Metropolis where they're used to seeing him.
And they know that Superman and Lois have a thing that's been going on for a while.
Well, it's worth mentioning that they're waiting around hoping he'll show up. They don't know he's there yet. They're hoping he's going to show up.
But they know that something's gone on in Lois Lane's room, and maybe that'll mean Superman.
Yep.
Yeah, so you know, like I liked all that stuff, and Lois like talks to him and says, "No, let us take care of this. We'll do it on our own." He's like, "Fine," but by the way, there is like 40 cops out there who are kind of hoping they'll show up.
Do your Superman thing.
Yeah,
He goes out and takes some selfies.
Yeah.
Yep.
So no, I liked all that stuff. It's not a surprise that Rucka is writing a really consistently engaging book for me, but he really is, and I kind of forget how much I enjoy this book when it's not here. Because it has gotten better, and I'm digging this Kiss of Death character, and obviously they're going to go after her.
So apparently the speculators started coming after this book this week. So I know at my shop, my guy, even though it's on my list, he's like, I made sure you got one because we've had people come in requesting it.
Huh. Which is weird because the first appearance of Kiss of Death was last issue, technically.
No, I think there's people the buzz is that it's because of this Jessica Knight.
Okay.
Yeah,
she was in
Checkmate, right?
Yeah, so she's not.
For whatever reason, they think it's a new version, and they're like, "Oh, maybe it's a new character entirely." That's what people seem to be talking about online. I'm a little confused.
And to those people, to you speculators, just go back and get 1 through 7 as well while you're at it.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic book.
The fighting stuff's really good. I love all of the dark shadows and the green smoke and all that stuff.
I like it when it's in the shadows and the dark. I think that very first page. Like the big like title page, Kiss of Death stuff there looks a bit funny.
Sure, yeah, she's got weird proportions. It's going for this kind of like almost as if a camera was on the floor looking up at someone, so she looks really tall. Yeah,
and it's the same with the 2-page fight layouts, where there's just the odd 1 or 2 little bits where I'm like, yeah, that one doesn't look as good. I think Perkins when he can hide some of the stuff in the shadows that is not his strongest stuff. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning Lois shoots her on the shoulder and they find her secret surveillance room. And I love all this stuff. This is kind of what I love about the thriller stuff that Rucka is doing here, is just like them finding this dark room filled with like computer screens and audio equipment and just all that sort of stuff.
What does Renee stick in her back waist part? What is that? It's
nunchucks. She was using them in the previous fight.
Oh, that's what that is. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's where we see some of the Perkins art.
Yeah.
That makes much more sense now.
Yeah.
I was like, it looked like she had found something.
By the way, can I just say that Chicago police officers look a lot like British police officers? Because I actually thought those were British cops at a glance. Until I saw Chicago on the badge, because the hats and the sort of dark vests over the light shirts is very British.
It is, yeah. I get where you're going with that.
I mean, there's one on the left it's got a jacket that's more American, but all these ones on the right are all very British looking.
I'm looking up pictures just to see, because maybe
do you know what it is? It's the checkered thing around the hat.
That's Chicago police though.
Do you know why
that's fair. I mean, yeah.
Because I didn't doubt it when people saying this, because at the end of this we see a Birmingham airport in the UK,
right?
And I've been to that airport a lot of times, and immediately, even before I saw what it was, I was like, oh, I recognize this building, like immediately. So I don't doubt that he referenced the Chicago police as well.
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't necessarily questioning the validity of this. It was just it just so happens that Chicago police uniforms are very British looking.
I didn't think about that until you'd mentioned it. So that's why I quick search so that they wear vests like that, and then the hats do have checkers on them.
Because if you think of like Hot Fuzz, this is what they look like in Hot Fuzz more or less. So, just a funny little coincidence, because typically there is a little bit of a difference if you think of American cops in other cities. So yeah, and they're all excited to meet Superman, and it's what it is. So no, I like that scene, and then there's the big scene at the end, of course, where we go to Jessica Knight, who's knocked out a nun and stolen her outfit to escape the hospital she's in.
So does that make her Sister Knight?
I guess it kind of does.
Right? Yeah, that's my first. Yeah.
No, it makes sense. They also go and look. They're looking at the neighborhood where the original maid, who worked in the hotel, because she stopped showing up for work. And I think that, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I felt like they were implying that she was deported. That
they were.
I want to call out the art a little bit here, because Lois, they're like, oh, look around. They got raided. And I'm like, looking around in the art, it's hard to see that.
Yeah,
like it's hard to see. I'm getting it from context of the dialogue, but she's saying, "Look around, like look where we are," and I'm like, I'm not seeing it.
I'm also thinking though that it's because the neighborhood's emptier because it looks sparse now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because I'm not exactly sure what you're looking for in that context. So I think it is just how empty it is, and maybe also the ethnicity of the people walking around.
I think it's like the page, because I went back and looked at the page before, and there's a panel of there's a couple of them that looking down, like trying to mind their own business. A couple of people like that. But I don't know. I feel like after that panel of look around, rather than just showing another close up of their faces, maybe show us what they're looking at.
Yeah.
On the subject though, there's a. Like, at the top of that page, there's a close-up of Renee's face that is actually one of the best panels of the whole book. It's just a good detailed page, where she's sort of looking over at the side, in the middle at the top. It just looks really good. And then that's when we get to the Royal Wolverhampton in England, which is the name of the place she's at.
Well, the Royal in Wolverhampton.
Right.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, there's a thing.
The Royal, there's a period.
Yeah, I've never heard of this place. I'm just going with the text.
What is it,
either,
Connor?
No, I don't know the specific place, but I know Wolverhampton. I've been there a few times.
I have never been Wolverhampton.
It's a shame. Don't worry about it.
I know. Well, I know their soccer team has cool looking uniforms.
Yeah, I went to a few gigs there in my younger days because it was accessible by train pretty easily.
Alright, okay.
Some great grungy little bars for gigs. I'll give it that.
Yeah, so she escapes, and we actually end with the airport where she's going into the airport and showing her passport to get out, to leave and go somewhere. Where's she going? Chicago, by the sounds of it. Which is where Lois is, funnily enough. So things are going to come together all nicely.
I just want to know why the character name changed. If this is supposed to be Jessica Midnight, why is it now Jessica Knight? Because for all intents and purposes, that's what it seems like it's midnight.
It seems to be the same, yeah. I think that's what's getting the speculators on. Is just that, maybe this is a new character, even though we're all like, not really.
Hey, maybe her middle name is Mid.
Just like big as Barda's first name.
Yeah. I just imagine the doctor's office. Barda, comma big. Barda, comma big.
I'm just trying to think what names in the middle could even begin with it. So you can show like Midge.
I don't know, something like MIDI or something.
Yeah, there you go. You can get mid from that.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe when she hits 40, she'll change it to midnight because she's older. It's not night anymore, it's now midnight.
Is this the definition of midlife crisis?
Yes. And then when she's past her midlife crisis, she'll change it to I don't know, Dawn. She'll change her last name entirely to Dawn.
Wouldn't it be Dusk? I mean,
no, Dusk becomes before night, you tit.
It does, but I feel like you want to end it at that point. You don't want to end your life with Dawn. That's because Dawn is inherently the start.
Unless you're Benjamin Button.
Well, it's a hopeful thing. It's a new dawn. It's because the whole point is that after your midlife crisis, you're not fearing death anymore because you're like, okay, you've accepted this, so you can go into the next part of your phase, the next phase of your life.
Is that what that means? My midlife crisis to me, I was like, I can't handle getting older.
No, after
you feel better.
After
Find
the
a sports car.
No, during the midlife crisis, you're fearing death and you're miserable. After the midlife, when you've gotten over it, you accept things are coming. So you're in your new phase, start of a new day.
I can't wait to get my midlife crisis. I'm gonna buy so much bullshit.
You buy so much bullshit anyway.
Yeah, can you imagine? Can you imagine how much worse it's gonna be?
Earlier in the show, this is how you know Matt's not in his midlife crisis: is that he resisted buying some Ahsoka lightsabers this weekend.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
If he wasn't, they'd have been bought.
If my wife wasn't there, I definitely would have bought them. She gave me a look, and that look said, "You don't need them."
Don't you dare! Is the look.
So I bought another crystal for my lightsaber. So now I have a yellow one to go with the blue.
Screw you.
Yep.
What are you rating Lois Lane, Matt?
I'm giving this an 8.5 because despite some dodgy art, the story's really there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm loving everything Rucka is doing. I hope he sticks around DC somewhere because I like having him in the writer quiver.
Yeah. Connor?
Yeah, I realised issue. I'm giving it a 7.5. Knocking a little bit off for just a couple of bits here or there with the art, and like I said, that point where I felt like we could have used a different perspective of what we were looking at in the art entirely.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8. Even though I agree, there's Perkins always has the odd like weird face, but there's something about his art overall that really works for me. Like the tone of it and the mood always just seems to click with me. So even when it does get a bit wonky here or there, it always feels like it fits what's going on. So I just kind of go with it.
No, I agree with that. I think I'm more calling it for that bit with the looking around, and I feel like it was a bit unclear in what it was actually showing.
Because I love when Perkins was doing Green Lanterns for an arc. I loved it then too. I felt like it really fit the space stuff. So. Yeah. Alright, there you go. That's Lois Lane. That'll take us on to Joker Harley Criminal Sanity issue 3 with Cami Garcia writing, Jason Badower and Mico Suayan on the art. So this is the artist change officially for the coloured part of the book. What's interesting is I'm pretty sure it's the same colourless because the colour has the same pop to it that it had before, but
yes, it does.
But the line work does not have that like traced photoreal element that it did before.
That sheen to
it. It's better.
Yeah, I'd agree it's better.
I mean, if the whole point of that was to show the different styles in past and present, this art seems to match the black and white art a little bit better. So it doesn't. You don't get that almost whiplash effect I had the first two.
It's not quite as jarring, but it's still very distinctly different because of the color.
Yeah, although
that's what I mean. But it's.
I don't know where we fell in this last. I remember I was debating because there was like one scene I was confused about because I wasn't sure if it was in the past or because it felt like it was a present day scene, but it happened to be in color. And in this book, I think does the same thing again, where for the most part it's clearly flashbacks are in color, present day stuff is in black and white, but there's one like page that's in color that I felt like that feels like it should be present day. I don't know what's going on. So anyway, we'll look at the book here because and I'm still digging this book. I'm digging that this is such a weird, different take on Joker and Harley. This is the beauty of an Elseworld where you can just.
It's really interesting opening on Joker developing these pictures in a dark room, like a makeshift dark room at that.
And this is the thing. This is present day because this is the photos that show up in the crime scene in this issue. So I mean,
but it's still technically the past because this is before.
I mean,
what we see.
Technically, like a lot, but it's...
yeah, I think it's more just this is Joker's stuff, and that's what he's doing. In that is the color, but also the past because we got some of Harley's past stuff. In its defense, I do feel the coloring is a little bit different from their stuff.
But there's also Joker stuff in this issue that is black and white. It's just his face that's in color, which I thought would meant that the present day stuff with Joker should be black and white, but just his face has got the color on it.
I could see that
because that does happen in this issue. Because obviously,
I think it's in relation to Harley's case, though. It's in relation to her present day stuff.
It's her point of view.
Okay.
Right?
And he just happens to intrude a little bit and bring a touch of that color with him.
So when he's on his own, it's in color because it's Joker. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. I can get behind that. That kind of fits with everything he does. It fits with what happened in the last issue as well. That confused me. So she's looking at the past of this Joker teenager character, John Kelley, and we get a lot more of his time in high school in this issue and hearing about what he was like. How he was going to get a scholarship. He tested perfectly, and a big thing in this issue is he's in art class, and he gets explained to him that whatever you love to do and you're passionate about becomes your art.
It's your art. Yeah. I was like, no.
And to be fair, by the end of the issue, it does feel like his crime scenes are his art. It's like no, this is my art. This is he's literally making art out of the bodies.
Yeah, but he's ripping off other people.
Sure,
it ain't his original art. So
yeah. Also, is it possible in the US to get 105% in a test? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, that bugged the hell out of me.
Yeah, with some teachers will throw an extra bonus question, right? And it's there for other people to try to.
No, it's bullshit.
Yeah, but so you tell me. But if you, let's say everyone answers that, so even if you don't do that well on the main test, but you get the bonus question right, does that still add to your percentage?
It does.
And it's part of 100% still, isn't it?
But that just means that that's part of the 100 then.
It basically, if it was 30 questions plus the bonus one, and he got all 31 right, then it's still just 31 out of 31. It's 100%.
Well, no, it's 31 out of 30, therefore 105%. Like that question doesn't count against. If you only get points if you get it right. You don't lose points if you get it wrong.
Okay, but here's the thing: if you got 29 out of the 30 right. And then you got the bonus one. You got 30 out of 30. You got 100%, even though you got a question wrong. That's bullshit.
Right. No, because then if you get it wrong and you get the one wrong and that one wrong, you still only got 29 out of 30. You're not being the 31 isn't factoring into the last, unless you get it right.
But the thing is, so if you get that 31st one right, that bonus one right, but you got one wrong, it's still going to come out saying 100%, implying you got everything right.
Right, because when they enter it into the grade book, you still got 100%.
This is bullshit.
Right? This is next level bullshit.
Yeah, this is basically just saying, hey, there's a safety net. You can get one wrong and still get 100.
Right, and that shows that he went above and beyond. That's what that 105 is to show.
I'm not critiquing the book. I'm critiquing the American school system for this bullshit.
Right.
The idea that you can get one wrong and still on your record say you got 100% is just pure bullshit.
Look, when I graduated, we only got extra credit points for honors classes. Well, I took a bunch of AP. The year after I graduated, they reweighted it. So if you took more AP classes, those weighted more. So those classes I got an A in, right? When I graduated, I would have graduated with like a 4.5 instead of a 4.0.
Extra
right?
credit is not a thing here. Like you get graded on your official submissions, and that is it.
I don't know what to tell you because it's a thing here.
Yeah, we don't have a credit system at all. We don't have this thing where you have to reach a total to like graduate and like that.
No, but like there's nothing you can do to go, oh well, I'll do this extra to bump up my grade. There's nothing like that.
Most teachers don't offer it, but the ones that do, it's usually there to, because you want the bell curve, right?
Where you incentivize bullshit.
Yeah. So, well, that's to make them look like they're better teachers too, right? If you have more kids because you're giving that extra credit,
Here's this this is a radical idea, Matt. But the good teachers here do that by just being good teachers and making sure people pass the damn tests.
And that's why we're like, that's why the state I live in is 51 out of 50. So, it's bad.
Eek.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he gets this test result, and the girl behind him gets like 59%, and she's like, "Hey, can you tutor me?" And he's properly acting like a psychopath at this point in the way he kind of like thinks, because we get his thoughts, we get his narration as this is going on, and he's like, "Oh, she could be useful," and he's like, "Please shut up." Oh wait, tears, empathy required. Darwin, maybe he's sort of processing like what she's saying to him in like these really weird psychopath ways.
Yeah.
How has this guy not been caught already?
I know, he's so obvious. And Harley in present day is looking for the medical reports that were missing a page, and the guy who did the reports years ago for the first victim, the dad, is like, well, all those were lost in a fire, but I do have some old tapes where I said everything as I was doing it, and he gives her the box of tapes, but they're not labelled, so she's going to be looking through those. Yeah.
And she is aware that, hey, the thing was missing and then these conveniently burnt down in a fire? Huh, that's suspicious.
Yeah. And it's the next page. This is what I was talking about with Joker, where it's in black and white, and she feels she's being watched, and we see him kind of in the bushes. But his red and his green are, I mean, they're muted, don't get me wrong, but they're definitely there, even though everything else is black and white.
Yeah, I think this is because this is still her section. This is part of her investigation. Because even the following page, where it's him mailing the pictures in, that's part of her investigation. That's why it's still black and white. Even though she's not there. I
don't know. Him mailing the photos, I would argue, it should be in full colour because him developing the photos was in full colour. So it's him on his own doing parts of his plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I think this is just so it's not whiplash in the, there's because this has a really nice transition where it's full black and white, and then we've got just him a little bit, and then we're back into colour again for the next bit. I think it's got a real nice transition to it.
Yeah. So he's, we get some flashbacks for Harley. Basically after this, where her mother is a completely abusive, person.
Oh, this bothered me, like as it was supposed to.
Yeah,
not in the way the test bothered me and Pete.
No, this is proper distressing because her mother's like smashing her face in a plate of food because she's not wanting to eat it.
Well, not just that. You're gonna eat it. She's like, well, I don't like steak. Well, then you're gonna sit there, and then she sits there for a day and a half.
It's not even that she doesn't like it. She's just full. She doesn't want to eat any.
She doesn't want it, right? And so. But you're gonna sit there and you're gonna eat it, and then oh well, Dad's coming home. Go up and clean yourself up, you little shit.
Yeah, this is like 2 days later. She's been sat there since it's starts on Friday evening, and it gets to Sunday afternoon.
And she's like, well, I have to go to the bathroom. Go right there. And I was like, well, Mom, you're making No.
Whoa,
Like-
Matt, say that again. Your mate did some weird thing.
You're making.
Yeah, no, you're making it even worse, right? By making her pee herself or whatever, because you don't want her to get up because she didn't eat. Like, what are you trying to reinforce?
Yeah. And it gets to the end of it though, and she's like, "Yeah, but I won," and she smiles
Right.
to herself, like she's like, "Oh, that was worth
Which-
it. It was worth the humiliation and the suffering because she won."
Right. Which when I get into arguments with my dad, my wife is like, "Why'd you do that?" I was like, "Well, because I want to win." She's like, "Yeah, but you understand that it's only gonna make you get you in a pissed off mood." It's like, "Yeah, but he knows I beat him. And I have to break out of that."
This is the
You know what I
point.
mean?
If this is a TV show that's narrated, where the narrator says, and years later in court, during the divorce, Matt proudly stood there, losing everything that he owns because his wife has taken everything, and he's just standing there and goes, yeah, but I won that argument.
Here's the difference, though. I like to, because of my somewhat dysfunctional relationship with my dad, who I love and whatnot. He's very hard to get along with, and I know how to wind him up to the point where he's easy to have arguments with and win. Versus my wife, who I love very, very much, I hate to argue with her. Which again, the Ahsoka lightsabers was, yeah, you're right. I don't need to spend the $200.
You're just like, I'm not getting involved with that argument.
Exactly. and there are times where, yes, I want to win, right? And that's what I have to work on to be a better human is you don't always have to win. You gotta be able to walk away. Right?
It's on the list.
So,
Matt, there's a big list I've got from Matt in that regard.
it's basically, does Pete do it? Yes, don't do it. That's how you be a better human.
How dare you? How dare you? I'm a role model.
You're a robot.
Role models enjoyed this issue of Justice League.
I like Matt's jokes better. Anyway, so Harley's looking through the tape. She's not finding anything.
Well, because they're all unlabeled.
Yeah, she's going to have to sit and listen to them all, yeah.
Yep.
And she goes to Gordon because Gordon phones her, and they got photos in the mail or whatever, and she there's a lot of thing here, but she's like, oh, I was trained to look at photographs differently, to notice things in a different order.
Yep.
And they figure out a place where this pillar in the background might have been from this victim. And basically, he's recreated this statue with drawers in it out of the dead body of his victim.
Which is a dolly, which we brought up in the last issue that the melting clock from the previous crime scene looked like a dolly.
Yeah,
and this was a confirmation.
And
this is based off his Venus.
And
Venus withdrawals.
And she connects that. Obviously, she says, "Does this look familiar?" And all that. And I appreciated them holding up the phone with the original next to it. It kind of really gave an idea of just how close it was.
Yep.
Yeah, the idea that the person and their face is different, but the rest of it, they did a pretty good job.
This was the lady on the park bench, right?
Last issue? I would say so. Yeah. So that's really good. And then she looks inside one of the drawers, and there's a key, a handcuff key, which she's going into. So, like, all that stuff was great. She gives this big speech at the end about the type of perp they're after and try to give a profile. And that's kind of the end of the issue. So much like the first issue, it kind of has a bit of a non-ending in terms of there's not much of a cliffhanger going into the next one. But that aside, I enjoyed this.
Yeah, I really appreciate having the case file there at the end of here's everything we know.
Yeah, I skimmed it. I didn't want to necessarily read the whole thing, but I was like, okay, this is a fun little...
I skimmed it as well.
It's a fun bonus thing.
I read it all because I'm a sad prick.
But what I like about it though is the key information she said already, so you know what you need to know anyway from reading the book. But it's a nice bonus to have if you want to, go in deep.
Yeah. There's some nice little touches in there, like pays careful attention to his appearance, which might be unconventional. Like, okay, yeah, she's getting there.
Yeah, no, I liked it. So. No, I'm digging. I mean, we keep saying it's the David Fincher Joker Harley book, but it is what it is, and I'm liking it. I'm liking this direction of it. And it's
really enjoyable, isn't it?
And this felt better coming much quicker after after the second issue versus the first to the second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's still bi-monthly, so it'll still be 2 months to the next one.
Yeah, but it was like 3 months between 1 and 2, so...
Yeah, you definitely didn't feel it as much this time.
No, I feel like I remembered it quite well this time. Whereas when we started issue 2, I was like, oh god, what happened in the first one again? I need to give it a skim.
Yeah.
So, no, really, really good. Black Label stuff continues to pay off. I can't believe this is like 9 issues. This is...
Yeah.
It's kind of dense in terms of page count and how long it is, but it flows so well.
Yeah. Matt, what are you giving Criminal Sanity issue 3?
I'm gonna go this one a solid 8.
Connor?
Yeah, 8 from me too.
I will concur with the 8. 8 out of 10. There you go. 8's all around. And that takes us to the last book of the week, which is Daphne Byrne issue 2, the second issue of the 4th Hill House series. The 5th one's coming soon because Plunge is starting soon, which is also by Joe Hill, who does Basket Full of Heads. But this is the one that we weren't so keen on, compared to the others with issue 1. We were kind of lukewarm on it. But we all wanted to come back and try issue 2 and see if it got better, how we felt about it afterwards. I think we're all still lukewarm, basically.
Yeah, this
I'm
is
out.
I mentioned something earlier. I do not remember the first issue. Usually, I read a lot of comics. We all do, and I'll take I'll read a first page or two, and it'll come back to me what happened before. This one I have vague memories of going down into a crypt at the end,
It was a dream. I remember it being a dream at the end, and I remember our mother going to the fortune teller or the psychic to
See,
talk to the dead husband.
Until you've just said that. I just don't have any recollection of that first issue in any detail that is meaningful enough to advance the story.
Yeah, this issue has a ghost who's following Daphne around and kind of helping her with the bullies and telling her to look at these books in the library, or not even telling her to do that, but it's kind of nagging her while she's doing it. And she's looking into these different things. She got a period when she was and I think we knew that last issue as well. I feel like that was something we knew.
That was maybe at the end.
Yeah.
They were hinting at it. This confirmed it.
Yeah, and we got to see this old age maxi pad device. it was like a strap that you attach a napkin to, so that it hangs. I don't know. It was weird.
Hey, AKA anyone that has a fondness for times gone by, just show them this page and go, "Hey, modern times are pretty cool."
Yeah. Women's sanitary products have advanced a little bit since then.
Yes.
But anyway, it's got this ghost talking to her, and it's is it malevolent? What does it want exactly? And the mother kind of meets a new guy who might, be the start of a romantic interest, because the fortune teller just told her that she has to do that. She has to be with someone to protect from the coming evils. Yeah, I'm out too. I mean, I don't have to yell it in the first 5 seconds like Matt seems to always want to do.
I'm out. Yeah, I can't.
Matt has no nuance. Matt never builds up to it. I love to set up where I'm going and sort of get there and sort of pay off a little story.
No, if I'm a fighter, I like to end it in the first 5 seconds. I ain't got
that
the
knockout blow on the first.
That's it.
It's not a
And
fight.
if I don't get it, that's it. So
we have to tell a story with your opinion, Matt. Tell a story.
Here's the thing, though. The issue isn't bad. It's fine.
Yeah,
I don't hate it. There's
and honestly,
wrong with it.
It's a very quick read. Because I was rendering a video for YouTube. I was doing the today's Picard review, and I was rendering that. I put the render on, and while it's rendering, in this case, it took about 15 minutes. And I said, I'll read a comic, right? And I read Young Justice, which I thought might be a long read because the last one was, and I actually ended up finishing Daphne Byrne as well before the render finished because it read that quickly. And it was fine. I think
I found myself not caring about anything. Like I said, I don't remember anything from the first issue, so it didn't feel like part of a story. It just felt like an issue of something.
I don't think Kelly Jones' art makes it sing. I think the story would be fine. See, if this was paired with a knockout artist, I think it may actually be, because I think the atmosphere of really good art would make it a lot more engrossing.
Yeah.
Without even changing the story, because I don't think the writing's bad per se. I think the writing's fine.
No, it's I'm sure it's gonna read fine in trade, which is what I said in our group. But yeah, it's the story was moving a little bit too slow, and I'm not a fan of the art. So, yeah, just the weird. They gave me the creeps. So if that was the objective, it knocked it out. But yeah.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing ever. And honestly, 3 out of 4 of these Hill House books ain't bad. No? 3 of them have been very good.
I'm pretty confident on the 5th one.
Yeah, because it's Joe Hill again, so yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident as well. Unfortunately, the adaptation of his other comic, Lock and Key, on Netflix is not that good, but yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's fine.
First episode was not particularly hot, I have to say. So that's kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So yeah, we're dropping Daphne Byrne issue 2, or we're dropping Daphne Byrne
After issue 2.
After issue 2.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously if you keep reading it, let us know what you think in the comments. We don't mind, you know, like the chances of us going back and catching up on something because someone tells us something is good is fairly minimum. We kind of have to have an inkling interest anyway. But it's always worth telling us if you think something's really good after we've dropped it, because we might
Especially
be tempted.
if something got better. If you're a person who feels like we do now and then feel like it got better, that's a little bit different to someone who has always been a fan of the book and goes, "Hey, no, it's really good," and we're like, "Yeah, but you know, just different tastes."
Yeah, I will say one of the weirdest things that people tell us sometimes, when we've dropped a book, and they'll say, like, 5-6 issues later that we're missing out because we're not reading this book. And I'm like, but I didn't like it. I don't feel like I'm missing out because I didn't like it. I don't think my opinion is going to change. One of the, and that's not just with comics, like just reviewing TV shows as well on YouTube, is that
all the time.
Yeah, people come back and say, "Oh no, you need to read this. It's great." And it's not that they, like you say, they won't say it gets better. Like some people say that, and you'll maybe take that with a bit more credence because of what they're saying makes more sense. But they'll say, "No, this is great," and you just have to keep going with it. And it's like, well, this is a lose-lose situation because one of two things, or well, one of three. I mean, there's a minimal chance that I will end up thinking it's good if I go back and catch up. But the chances are that one of two things are going to happen. Is that it's going to be the exact same and I'm still not going to like it. You're going to be pissed at me for that. Or I'm not going to listen to you, which is the more lately situation, and you'll be pissed at me because I'm not giving it more of a chance. But either way, you're going to be pissed at me because I'm going to just shit all over the thing that you like.
Yeah.
Sometimes the wisest thing for me to do is to just not do it.
We get it with specific TV shows all the time.
Yeah.
Like there was that one that got cancelled, Counterpart. We gave a few episodes. We were like, it's okay, but we weren't really feeling it. And we, for the next year and a half, it was like, Counterpart's great. Why aren't you doing the rest of it? I'm like, because we weren't really enjoying it.
Yeah, we were bored.
My favorite comments you guys get on that are at the beginning. You'll clearly say you have not read the book or the source material, and then someone will murder you in the comments for not reading this book and then expecting different things. And I was like, well, no, literature and TV are two different mediums, and one can work well in one and not the other.
We always make the perspective clear, and the perspective of is this good if you've not read the book is really important for the vast majority of the audience. Let's be honest.
It is.
A great example of this recently was The Witcher, in which I enjoyed it significantly more than Pete did, even though I mean, probably to be expected given fantasy anyway, but having read some of the books and been more into the lore of the world, I understood what was going on a lot more, and I enjoyed it more because of that. But I was very aware as I was watching it that this is not new viewer friendly. This is designed for people who already know these things, and that is a problem as a TV show, as a brand new thing.
Yep, and it completely killed it for me immediately. I was just out.
Yeah, it did actually get better, for the record. Like, that first episode was the weakest.
People do say that, yeah, but
I don't see Pete enjoying it anyway. But other people who are maybe on the fence might enjoy it more.
Yeah, that's fair. So, yeah, not that I expect a blowback from Daphne Byrne being dropped, but it made me think of that. So I went down a little rabbit hole.
It did make me want to see the Daphne Byrne adaptation, though. If they chose to make a movie,
sure,
I'd probably go see it because it's got a fun setting that's creepy, and that's what I like in a scary movie.
Yeah, I do genuinely think the plot though is the least interesting out of the four. I like all the other ones more in terms of just the concept.
Which we felt when we read the solicits for it too. That was the one that we're like,
that's true.
It was always the least interesting one, right? Yeah. And it was like, well, maybe, but like I say, 3 out of 4, likely 4 out of 5.
Yeah,
I mean,
but like,
it's pretty good odds.
And like Lolo Woods was one that I wasn't hot on after the first issue, and then I came and talked it here. And it's a great discussion book, and I really enjoy it. So, but like, it's really funny how Basket Full of Heads and Tall House Family seem to be heads above the other ones.
Yeah, I'm expecting a lot from the next one. Like I say, it's Joe Hill writing again and Stuart Immonen on art, which is going to look fantastic.
And it's basically the thing.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm excited for us, isn't it?
I'm pretty pumped about it. I'm pretty pumped. So, what are we giving Daphne Byrne, Matt, anyway?
I'll give this a fair 5.5. I really don't like the art.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair. Connor?
For me, it's a straight 5 in that I don't dislike the art or like it. It's just it's fine, and the same with the rest of the book. It's fine. It's there. It's not offensive, but I don't like it.
Yeah, no, I agree with the 5. I think it's just okay, or just in the middle, and like I don't feel strongly about it either way. But I do appreciate that it was a really quick read because at least because this could be the sort of book where it's equally in the middle, but there's a lot of dialogue, so it takes a long time to get. And you end up kind of resenting it because of that. It's like they're just finished,
short.
Yeah. So at least that's the case. So there you go. That does take us on though to the final part of the show where we pick our favorite stuff of the week, favorite panel/moment, favorite art, and top 5 books. So we'll start with panel/moment. Matt, what do you got for that?
I'm gonna go with Sodom Yacht in Justice League. I have to. I'm so excited to see him. I had no idea he was gonna be showing back up. So.
Any particular moment, or just like when he arrives, kind of thing?
Yeah, when once they realize it's him, and John goes to talk to him.
Yeah, he tells him to stand down. Lantern Yacht. Yep. Cool. Connor?
Honestly, this is a tough one. There are not any panels in particular that really stood out to me. No moments that really jumped at me this week. So I'm just going to be weird and choose the seeing the airport at the end of Lois. Like, hey, I know that.
That's fair though.
That's an odd pick, fair. But yeah, sure. I'm going to go probably from Lois as well. I'm probably going to go with the moment where like Lois kind of says, "Hey, there's people out there waiting for you," and then everyone like being delighted when he comes out, and they're all just like starstruck. That was a fun moment. I'm gonna go with that. So that'll take us on to cover of the week, and as I'm loading up the images here, so I
just had a quick look, so I can go if you want.
Yeah, how do you go, Connor?
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna go with the Lois variant. It's her holding up the jacket, and then her shadow is blue and red, and it's like Superman with a cape, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks too anime for me, and I don't like anime.
It is a bit anime in the face, but I really like the aesthetic of it, of what it's doing with the shadow.
Sure. The Criminal Sanity covers are pretty good, as we expect. I'm going to go to an old faithful though, and go with the Matina Batman variant. Just really good stuff.
Can't go wrong, can you?
It's got Batman, Penguin, and Catwoman on it. So, aside from a slight Batman Returns kind of flashback because of that trio of characters, it does look very, very good. So, what you got, Matt?
So mine came down to the regular Young Justice with Connor wearing the Warlord gear, which that's pretty rad. And then the regular Lois cover. And I think I'm going to go to the regular Lois cover.
Yeah, that's fair.
The way that the colors hit.
See, I thought the issue was going to have kind of this issue or this book's perspective of the reveal because of that cover, because it was Lois kind of taking it off, and like I thought, maybe this is going to be this book's vantage point of that happening. But
to be fair, hovering over it now, and it gives me the original solicit.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with, as the world comes to realize Lois Lane is also the wife of Superman and mother of Superboy.
Huh.
Yeah.
And I did not get that in the issue.
Yeah, what's so weird is that the last issue though, like, it had them walking into the hotel and Rennie didn't know. So if it's happened in between these two issues, I'm like, where, when? Because Lois was at the reveal. She was at his side as he made this speech. Yeah. So it's kind of weird. More continuity.
I feel like some editor kind of stepped in and went, they don't know yet.
Okay.
Next issue.
Next issue, sure. So we'll see. So, all right, best art of the week. I'll go first for this one, I suppose. It's funny because Young Justice has got 3 artists and they're so different that I can't really give it to that. Perkins, I like a lot of. I think also I'm going to have to go with Criminal Sanity because even though it's not perfect, but it does have a really distinct style, and it feels so different to all the other books, and it has a bit of an improvement in this issue as well because the art has changed. So I'm going to go with that. Connor.
Yeah, same from me here. I'll be honest, it's not really a standout week this week. I mean, I only had 5 books.
It's not.
None of them were like amazing. No. It's a very low key week.
Yeah.
Joker, Harley, Criminal. I have no complaints with the art in that book.
Well, yeah.
I actively really like the black and white stuff.
Yeah, week 1 has been quiet for a while. It just so happens that we're falling after a week 5, which also typically means it's quiet. So it's been 2 weirdly quiet weeks in a row. Matt, what are you giving best art?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Criminal Sanity as well, just for the boring reason you said. I want to give it to Young Justice, but re-looking at the Oeming stuff, it just doesn't fit.
Yeah, it's
those
just
characters.
Yeah, so. Yeah, it just doesn't work. Yeah. All right, clean sweep for Criminal Sanity. And Matt, what was your top 5 books of the week?
All right, so number 1 is Lois Lane. Number 2 is Young Justice. Number 3 is... Wait, no. Number 1 is Lois. Number 2 is Criminal Sanity. Number 3 is Young Justice. Number 4 is Justice League. And that leaves number 5 with Batman.
Cool. Connor?
Joker Harley at 1. Justice League 2. Lois 3. Batman 4, and I guess Daphne Byrne at 5.
My number 1 is Lois. Number 2 is Criminal Sanity. Number 3 is... I'll give number 3 to Batman. Number 4, Young Justice. And number 5, Justice League in last place. So...
I would like to nominate, on weeks with this few books, we do a top 3 so that it still means something.
Well,
no, I mean this.
He's not going to go for that.
Whenever me and Pete do a proper list video of like, top 25, top 50.
Yeah, but that's a proper video dedicated to just doing like a best of thing. This is literally like if it's just ranking all the books, then fine. This is a great thing, Connor. If you want the top 3, just cut off the bottom 2 of what we've all said, and there's your top 3.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But you could do that, and it would mean something. Whereas top 5, it didn't really mean anything in this week. When you've only got 5 books, or maybe 6.
Let it speak for itself, and if the quality isn't that hot, it means there wasn't enough good books, and that can speak for itself.
Hey, speaking of books, that's coming next week.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Matt. Connor tried to derail us with nonsense, as usual. So coming next week, we have Batman and the Outsiders issue 10. We got Batman Alfred Pennyworth R.I.P., so that's a one-shot from Tynion. So it's essentially another Batman issue, I suppose.
Yeah. Tynion and Tomasi.
Yeah, it's got a couple of stories in it, I think.
Okay, Tynion's definitely in there.
Got a fantastically week's cover.
So obviously we'll be looking at that. Batman vs Ra's al Ghul number 4 is out next week. Is that Neil Adams? I can't remember what that is.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got Batman's Grave issue 5. That's the Warren Ellis one that I've been reading. Catwoman number 20 is out. We have Dollhouse Family number 4. We have The Flash 88. We have Gotham City Monsters issue 6. Green Lantern season 2 issue 1 is out. Connor, are you caught up for that to read it?
Not yet. We'll see.
You should be though.
It's interesting that on Diamond here it still says of 12, even though now we know it's only of 8.
That's true. Yeah, it's not been updated. We got Harley Quinn and Birds of Prey issue 1 of 4. Is that the Palmiotti and Connor?
Yes.
Black Label book. I assume at least Connor's reading that then.
Probably.
If I have time.
That's issue 1. Yeah.
I'll let you guys know.
I'm intrigued to see if it works on its own.
Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy issue 6 is out, so ending that miniseries from Hauser. Yep. Hawkman number 21 is out. So we got that. Some things we obviously don't cover, but House of Whispers is 18 is out. Ruby number 5 is out. We have Supergirl 39. We have Superman number 20. Superman Heroes number 1. That is the. No. I thought you said that wasn't out until the week after, Connor.
That's what the Newsarama article told me.
It's on Diamond for next week.
Solicited.
It is, yeah.
So we'll see if it comes out or not. But I mean, it's on Diamond. So that's the one shot that's got a story from Bendis, a story from Hauser, a story from Fraction, all the
Rucka.
And Rucka, all the Superman book writers. So big super week because Superman, Supergirl, and Superman Heroes number 1. So big super week for us, Matt, next week. And then Terrifics 25 is out. Wonder Woman 751 is out, and that is it. So that's what's out next week.
Yeah.
So
a potential, assuming we all read all the things that we could, of 11 books.
That's not bad.
No.
Not bad. It's not insane, but it's not too late either. It's a nice number because we're not all reading all of them, especially Connor. He's not reading like 3 super books.
No, but I might have potentially Green Lantern and that Harley Quinn and Birds of Prey book.
Yeah.
And I've got Hawkman and the Harley and Ivy book, so there's things I've got that you don't.
Well, yeah, but I don't have those other ones, so I don't have 11 either. I have 8 or 9.
Well, no, but you said especially Connor, like I've got way less than you, but with those other books, I might have just as much, if not more.
Usually in those Superman weeks, you have almost nothing compared to me and Matt. But okay, on this week, the stuff that I happen to not read also happens to fall. So fair enough.
I will accept your apology.
It does mean that Matt has. He doesn't have Green Lantern. You at least don't have that, Matt.
Yeah, he doesn't have Flash anymore.
Nope.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's dropped Flash. We'll see how long that lasts.
Yep.
I hope Bart or something shows up in this issue. There's a Bart heavy story or something.
Hold your tongue.
Or
Hold your
Isn't he
tongue.
getting Bart and Young Justice though?
he is,
am.
but like he would have to check it out. It's like I'm like Matt, they're doing a Bart story where Bart like
Bart is Paradox.
but Bart goes and gets Jesse
Don't
Quick.
put that out there. Oh, God damn you.
So yeah, that's what's coming next week. So naturally, for the first time in a few weeks, we don't need any questions because we have a nice packed show, and there's a reasonable chance we may have solicitors next week. We'll see. It depends what week they fall on. It varies a little bit. So yeah, so we'll see for that then. Of course, that wraps up the show more or less. So thank you for joining us. Let us know what you think of the books in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Ding the bell on YouTube if you want to get notifications and all that jazz. You can support us, of course, by doing all that and also rating the podcast on Apple Podcasts, which we mentioned earlier. Give us 5 stars. People will find us that way and put us up in the rankings. You can support us financially by going to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and supporting us for as little as $1 per month and getting some bonuses for your trouble. At the $5 tier, you get all the comics podcasts from us one day early. That's Comics from the Multiverse as well as Previously in the Multiverse, and when it launches again elsewhere in the Multiverse. As well as voting rights when there's a vote. Obviously, we just had one on previously, an Emperor Joker, the Superman story won that, so we just started that one previously this week, so you can go check out that. So that's all cool stuff, and I also take this time to thank our Patreon producers, which are patrons at $20 and up. So thank you to David Short, Alison M. Fordyce, Cindy Palacios, and Tyler Hess. So thank you to you guys. And as mentioned last week, $10 patrons and up do get their name on the screen towards the end of the episode as well. That's something that'll be rolling out into the other shows, but it started in the Comics Podcast, at least for now. So thank you very much for joining us. And as mentioned earlier, just to remind you one more time, Birds of Prey review. It'll be on the same audio feed as well as the 121 in Flux feed, and it'll obviously be on the YouTube. All 3 of us, at least. There's a small chance that Tim might also join us, but he wasn't sure if he could see the movie in time. So it depends if he goes to see it today, basically.
That's just what we need, Tim.
Yes, but so there's a chance Tim might also
That's
guest.
right. That's what the doctor ordered.
Yeah. So big Birds of Prey review coming a day after this, whether it's on Patreon or public. Either way, it's a day later. So look forward to that too. But that is us. That is episode 193 of Comics from the Multiverse. I'm going to go and get food. Probably order food. I always cave and order food on a Saturday
I ordered
night.
mine like 20 minutes ago, so it should be here soon.
That's a smart move. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics, guys, and we'll... I almost didn't do my outro properly.
He messed up the intro and now he's messing up the outro.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Keep reading DC Comics, and remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.
And that Mike Grell can draw.